Chapter 439. The scene in front of them was completely out of everyone's expectations, causing their hearts to be thrown into chaos. Even the countenance of the Sky Thunder Country's ruler changed as he glanced at the people kneeling on the ground. A terrifying coldness gleamed in his eyes. Now that he thought about it, it was indeed logical for these people to betray him. In the Sky Thunder Empire, he was the emperor. Back then, his faction was the strongest, suppressing all the other factions. Usually, he was high up in the clouds. These people naturally didn't dare to cause trouble, and would only respectfully serve him. However, at this moment there was actually someone with the Azure Emperor token who appeared here. To these people, this was undoubtedly an opportunity to turn things around. Especially when they had already offended the person with the Azure Emperor token earlier. These people who submitted were all gambling. They were gambling on the arrogance of the successor of the Azure Emperor. As long as they made the right bet, even if the Sky Thunder Empire submitted to the successor of the Azure Emperor, it wouldn't matter. Because the Sky Thunder Empire would be under their control. The Sky Thunder Emperor could tell with a single glance that these people who were kneeling on the ground belonged to two major factions that had a very close relationship with each other. Their combined strength wasn't much weaker compared to the Sky Thunder Emperor's faction. If they added the trump card of the successor of the Azure Emperor into the equation, their strength would definitely be sufficient to deal with the Sky Thunder Emperor. Most probably, these people had been discussing in secret before they decided to betray the Sky Thunder Emperor. Since the Sky Thunder Emperor could tell, how could Qin Wentian not know what these people were thinking? The him now was no longer as naive as he was back then. It was just that no matter what methods these people had, in front of absolute power they were all useless. 3 breaths have passed. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. The eyes of the people in the surroundings flickered as their minds spun rapidly, struggling in their hearts. At this moment they were faced with an extremely difficult choice. This was no longer a choice of whether or not to submit to the successor of the Azure Emperor. If it was just a choice, it would be too easy for them. Right now it was a choice of faction, a choice of faction. In the final 3 breaths, another 3 people knelt down, choosing their faction. The others still stood there, indicating that from the start, they were all unswervingly standing on the side of the Sky Thunder Emperor. All of you are very good. The Sky Thunder Emperor's voice was laced with killing intent, while the prince as well as the beautiful maiden beside him couldn't even smile anymore. Who would have thought that because of the appearance of the successor of the Azure Emperor, the internal conflict within the Sky Thunder country would be ignited? Time's up. Qin Wentian's voice was filled with coldness. Not only had these people forgotten that they were part of the Azure faction, they even planned to kill him and seize the Azure Emperor token, cutting off all paths of escape. I'll return the Azure Emperor token to you. The Sky Thunder Emperor tossed out the Azure Emperor token. Yet Qin Wentian didn't bother to catch it. He stomped on the ground as astral light erupted forth, disappearing from sight in an instant. At the instant he vanished, a bolt of lightning directly slammed into the location he was at earlier. How ferocious was this true lightning? That bolt of lightning actually exploded forth with a fiery glow. If it had struck, it would have been sufficient to annihilate Qin Wentian on the spot. As for the Azure Emperor token, it had already been destroyed by the lightning. But to the current Qin Wentian, the Azure Emperor token was no longer that important. Everything that needed to be done has already been done. The unification of the Azure faction was also nearing completion. The Sky Thunder Emperor suddenly acted, evidently intending to kill the successor of the Azure Emperor first before dealing with the traitors. But he didn't expect Qin Wentian's reaction to be so swift and violent. Inclining his head, he stared at Qin Wentian in the air as a cold light flickered in his eyes. It was as though there was a bolt of lightning blasting into Qin Wentian's sea of consciousness. However, he only saw Qin Wentian's body rising higher and higher as Zhongyi appeared behind him, floating in the air together with him. That earlier was that stellar transposition? A look of contemplation appeared on the Sky Thunder Emperor's face. As for Zhongyi, he didn't feel anything strange at all. Qin Wentian had once asked Fairy Qingmei to bring the 9 ultimate arts of Granxia to the Zhong clan. Di Tian was the representative of Qin Wentian, and there was no distinction between them. Naturally, it was possible that he had cultivated the 9 ultimate arts. There's no longer a need for traitors to exist. Qin Wentian's silhouette was ice-cold. Above the air, above the clouds, an aura gradually drifted downwards. Everyone inclined their heads, only to see numerous silhouettes descending from the skies. There weren't many of them, but their auras were all extremely powerful. Each and every one of them could be at least at the upper 3 levels of Heavenly Dipper, equivalent to the strongest cultivators in their Sky Thunder country. The countenances of the Sky Thunder Emperor and the others all changed. As expected, the successor of the Azure Emperor had already subdued so many powerful existences. If the Sky Thunder Empire was united as one, they might have been able to contend against this power. But now that the internal strife had arisen, the Sky Thunder Emperor knew that there was no way he could win this war against these traitors. No matter what, this is a family matter. If my faction is annihilated, do you think that with the strength of these people, you would still be able to wield power? At that time, your positions would be far inferior to now. Why don't I act as though nothing happened earlier? The Sky Thunder Emperor was as calm as ever. However, no one replied to him. These people knew that there was no turning back now. The strength brought by Qin Wentian had far surpassed their expectations. But now there was no turning back. If not, only death would await them. The experts in the air descended, as a terrifying aura enveloped this entire space. The crowd only saw an old man clad in simple robes removing the bag on his back, after which he slowly opened it, revealing a wooden cudgel. Upon seeing this wooden cudgel, the countenance of the Sky Thunder Emperor instantly paled. Punishment cudgel. You are the one in charge of the punishment faction. The countenance of the Sky Thunder Emperor was incomparably unsightly to behold. As a descendant of the Azure faction, he naturally understood some of the secrets of the past. The punishment faction, when the Azure Emperor was still alive, was already in charge of the punishment in the Azure Emperor Palace. They were the strongest faction in the Azure Emperor Palace and were the most loyal supporters of the Azure Emperor. Sometimes they were even more terrifying compared to the Azure Emperor, because they were in charge of punishment. For those whom the Azure Emperor didn't punish, they would punish. For those whom the Azure Emperor didn't kill, they would kill. In the punishment hall of the Azure Emperor Palace, their authority was second only to the Azure Emperor. Even the direct descendants of the Azure Emperor, the descendants of the D clan, feared them to some extent. Right now, the various factions of the Azure Emperor are reorganized, and I'm in charge of the punishment hall. Today you all have rebelled against the Azure Emperor, and even dared to shatter the Azure Emperor token. Your crimes are too heinous, and I shall kill all of you without mercy. However, in consideration of the passing of time, I don't wish to implicate others. But if you dare to implicate others in this matter, my punishment cudgel will definitely annihilate your entire clan. The penalty old man's voice was low, containing a terrifying pressure within. He stared at the Sky Thunder Emperor and the others as he spoke. Traitors, take your own lives. If not, if a war breaks out, the Sky Thunder Aristocrat clan will definitely be implicated. At that time, even more people will be killed. I wonder if the penalty old man of this generation still has the prestige of the past. The Sky Thunder Emperor slowly spoke. His body floated in the air, facing off against the penalty old man. Lightning crackled around him, and terrifying pythons of lightning appeared around him, exuding a terrifying might. Although there's only one person left from the punishment faction, he is still the penalty master. The penalty old man faintly spoke. He gripped his punishment cudgel tightly in his hands as he stepped out. With a simple step, the penalty cudgel appeared in his hands and slashed out. There seemed to be no power behind it at all, as though it was just an ordinary cudgel piercing forward. However, the countenance of the Sky Thunder Emperor was extremely heavy. He didn't dare to be careless. He rushed out as countless pythons of lightning gushed forth, wanting to shatter this entire space. The penalty old man was instantly enveloped by the surging might of lightning. His long hair and beard fluttered in the wind, and that ordinary-looking old man actually exuded an imposing aura of anger. Around him a layer of light flashed, enveloping him within. With a strike of the penalty cudgel, a boundless vortex of darkness appeared, akin to a hole in the depths of hell. The darkness directly penetrated through everything, and an instant later, a scream of misery rang out. The chest of the Sky Thunder Emperor directly exploded as fresh blood flowed freely. The lightning around him dissipated, and his body directly fell from the air, slamming onto the ground. coughing out a few mouthfuls of blood. A hole actually appeared on the body of the Sky Thunder Emperor. He stared at the sky as he roared, "Good, as expected of the penalty, old man. Under celestial phenomenon there's no one who can be a match for you. I plead guilty and shall be executed." After speaking, a look of sorrow flashed in his eyes. An emperor of a generation actually had to commit suicide here. However, he was also very clear that he had no more hope of survival. Only by dying would he be able to protect his bloodline. If not, given the ironclad rule of the penalty, old man, he would definitely not spare him so easily. Back then, someone from the Azure Emperor Palace had violated the rules of the punishment hall. Even when the Azure Emperor begged for mercy, it was useless. This was their duty, their belief. The penalty old man slammed his palm onto his head as the might of lightning towered up into the sky. With a thunderous boom, the Emperor of a generation committed suicide on the spot. Those from the Sky Thunder Emperor's faction all had ashen expressions. That prince and the charming young woman beside him could no longer laugh. Their pale countenances were filled with an incomparably intense fear. "Your Highness, I don't want to die." That charming young woman stared at the prince. However, at this moment, how could the prince be in the mood to care about her? When the penalty old man turned his gaze over, the threat of death enveloped everyone. "Your Highness, since we have to die, let's do so if we can protect our clan members. As for you guys, don't be too ruthless. After all, His Majesty and you all share the same bloodline." Beside the prince, an old man stared at those kneeling on the ground as he resolutely spoke. After which, his palm directly slammed onto the head of the charming young woman, killing her on the spot. After which, he also committed suicide. If they made the wrong choice, it would be a path of death. The eyes of everyone were filled with sorrow, yet they knew that they would die for sure. Although they had an intense desire to live, when they saw the eyes of the penalty old man, they knew that there was no way out. They could only choose to commit suicide one by one. In the end, the prince also collapsed. Numerous corpses lay on the ground. Qin Wentian stared at these corpses. His countenance was as cold as ever. He didn't have much sympathy for them. The hymn now had also hardened his heart. A general's success was built on the bones of 10,000 people. On the path to supremacy, there would surely be a mountain of corpses. Chapter 440. Qin Wentian and his group stayed in the Sky Thunder country for a total of 7 days, reorganizing the Sky Thunder royal clan and firmly grasping the royal authority in his hands. He didn't do what the Ice Spirit sect and the Zone clan did, directly requesting them to head to the Celestial Lake Palace. Instead, he chose over 10 experts from the Sky Thunder country to follow him. As for the others, they were still stationed in the Sky Thunder country, controlling the royal authority. The Sky Thunder aristocrat clan had been in control of the Sky Thunder country for over 800 years. Their roots were extremely deep, and their influence was immense. Although the person in control was someone from the Sky Thunder aristocrat clan, there were still many other experts in the Sky Thunder country, as well as incomparably vast amounts of resources and wealth. How could they give up on all of these? Hence, Qin Wentian only brought along the strongest batch of experts. At the same time, he left behind a few core members of the Sky Thunder aristocrat clan to guard the Sky Thunder country. The Sky Thunder country could become their reinforcements. Just this one time alone, the amount of resources Qin Wentian brought away from the Sky Thunder country was extremely vast. Currently, the powers under Qin Wentian's control were White Deer Institute, Zone Clan, Ice Spirit Sect, Sky Thunder Country, and the Punishment Old Man. However, this wasn't the end yet. Qin Wentian personally invited Fairy Qingmei to lead her subordinates to the final power, the D-Clan, to reorganize themselves. The D-Clan after the war back then was almost completely annihilated. Only a few people managed to escape. The Azure Emperor had given them the last command, which was to wield the Azure Emperor token and select a successor to revive the Azure Emperor Palace. However, even the Azure Emperor himself wouldn't have imagined that a few thousand years later, those few who survived back then would actually rise up again, becoming a powerful power. After which, they split into 2 factions. One of them was Dai's faction, adhering to the Azure Emperor's will and selecting a successor. The other faction was the Defeng faction. They wanted to establish themselves as the emperor, believing that since they had the bloodline of the D clan, why didn't they control the hidden faction themselves? However, the existence of the hidden faction was only marked on the map. After many years of investigation, they only managed to find the White Deer Institute. Fairy Qingmei and the experts from the hidden faction secretly descended, using iron-blooded methods to suppress one of the hidden faction. Even if they were descendants of the D clan, they didn't show any mercy when it was time to kill them. As for the person in charge of punishment, it was naturally the punishment elder. What status did Fairy Qingmei have? Who didn't know about her relationship with the Azure Emperor back then? In just 3 days, the D clan was completely reorganized? This matter didn't cause too much of a commotion in the Granxia Empire. Nobody paid attention to what was happening here. Right now, even more gazes were focused on the Ginkgo continent of Granxia. The storm that was brewing there had the potential to topple the future of Granxia. The clash between Hua Taishu and Bai Qing was no small matter. How many years has it been since so many transcendent powers participated in the same storm? Not only that, this storm could transform into a terrifying tempest at any moment. While the hidden faction of the Azure Emperor was reorganizing their forces in the Celestial Lake Palace, the Heavenly Fate Rankings battle in Ginkgo drew nearer and nearer. The various transcendent powers were all accumulating their strength. During these days, the Mystic Moon Sect, Ouyang Aristocrat Clan and Jiang Clan had mobilized their experts to Ginkgo. There was no other reason than that a war could erupt between them and the Chun Clan and Hua Clan. Naturally, they had to be fully prepared. After all, Ginkgo was the territory of the Chun Clan. At the same time, the younger generations of the various transcendent powers clashed unceasingly. In fact, there would often be bloodshed. On this day, a young man by the name of Di Tian stepped into Ginkgo City alone. After 3 years, Qin Wentian once again stepped into Ginkgo. Back then, he came with the Ouyang Aristocrat clan. But now he was alone, arriving at this ancient city, the former capital of Granxia. Outside the ancient capital, there were still many visitors, wanting to take a look at the splendor of the ancient capital. Qin Wentian stood there, staring at the ancient capital he had once entered, as he sighed in his heart. 3 years. 3 years ago he was in high spirits, determined to take control of the White Deer Institute and contend for the top 3 positions in the Heavenly Fate Rankings. At the same time, in order to prevent Luo He from interfering in the matters between him and Qingcheng, he had to defeat Zhan Chan. On the Heavenly Fate Rankings, he was in high spirits, defeating all the heroes of Granxia and obtaining the top position. However, what awaited him was a vicious battle. The spirit of the Purgatory Vermilion Bird transformed into a formation spirit for him, activating the ancient Vermilion Bird formation. However, the nightmare was yet to come. The Pill Emperor Hall was recruiting a son-in-law for Qingcheng, and at the same time they actually used Qingcheng's life as a sacrifice. Even now, Qingcheng's fate was still unknown. And as for him, he transformed into a primordial great rock, wielding a demon sword and splitting apart the Pill Emperor Hall. Thinking back, it all felt like a dream. In the blink of an eye, he had already subdued the hidden Azure faction, and with Fairy Qingmei's assistance, he could be said to have as many experts as the clouds around him. And as for his other body, the Great Rock, after sending him to Ginkgo, he returned to the demon region, continuing his reign as king, reorganizing the demonic beasts in the demon region, preparing to launch a war that would stun the entire Granxia. As for him, he once again arrived at Ginkgo, outside the ancient kingdom of Granxia. And at this moment, within the ancient kingdom of Granxia, a terrifying aura permeated the air, unceasingly extending outwards. The Purgatory Ancient Formation is activated. Leave quickly. Everyone hurriedly dodged. The aura of the formation was extremely fast, and not long after, it enveloped Qin Wentian, who hadn't moved at all. The Purgatory constellation in the air cascaded downwards. Yeah. A melodious yet familiar voice drifted over. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed with sharpness as he saw a white silhouette sprinting over with great speed, leaping into Qin Wentian's embrace. Good fellow. Qin Wentian sighed in his heart. To think that even after changing his appearance, little rascal would still be able to recognize him. Busy. A gust of hot wind buffeted his body. Qin Wentian stared ahead, only to see an indistinct Purgatory Vermilion Bird flying over, circling around Qin Wentian. emitting low cries as it rubbed its head against Qin Wentian's chest. Purgatory. Qin Wentian's heart trembled. Didn't the purgatory vermilion bird transform into a formation spirit? This illusory figure should be the purgatory ancient luck that had been extremely close to him in the past. Little rascal. A melodious voice drifted over. Qin Wentian inclined his head, only to see a graceful figure clad in fiery red robes sprinting over. Her exquisite figure was incomparably beautiful when contrasted with the fiery red robes. That charming face of hers caused the hearts of those who looked at her to palpitate with eagerness. When Luo Huan saw Little Rascal and the illusory vermilion bird rubbing against an unfamiliar young man, her eyes flashed with a strange light as she probed, "Are you junior brother Qin?" Based on Luo Huan's understanding of Little Rascal, it would never be so intimate with a stranger. Given its lustful nature, other than Qin Wentian, it wouldn't even dare to touch any other man. Qin Wentian stared at Luo Huan as a warm smile flickered in his eyes. Senior sister Luo Huan had always been intelligent. It was impossible for him to hide anything from her. But of course he also had absolute trust in this senior sister of his. "Sister," Qin Wentian called out in a melodious voice. After which, the lines on his face squirmed as he reverted to his original appearance, causing a strange light to flash in Luo Huan's eyes. After which, she crossed her arms in front of her chest and propped up her chin with one hand as she smiled at Qin Wentian. "You still remember to look for your senior sister." Qin Wentian walked up, gazing at that beautiful silhouette as he gave Luo Huan a hug. "Sis, how have you and Master been these 2 years? I was bored to death. Luckily I had Little Rascal to accompany me, so I could cultivate in peace. As for you, why did you come back so quickly? Even if you know how to disguise yourself, you still have to be careful of those transcendent powers in Ginkgo. After knowing that we've all left, they no longer have the time to care about the formation." Qin Wentian and Luo Huan continued on their way and saw their master, Mustang. Qin Wentian had a smile on his face. Mustang was extremely emotional when he saw Qin Wentian. "Wentian, seeing that you are well, I can rest assured." "Teacher." Warmth flowed in Qin Wentian's heart. After which, Mustang pulled him over and spoke, "Come sit down. Tell teacher about the changes in the outside world these 2 years. Have those transcendent powers been trying to hunt you down?" "It's a long story." Qin Wentian sat down as he sighed in his heart. After which, he told his master and Mustang everything that happened in the past 2 years. He didn't even hide the matter regarding the Azure Emperor Palace, causing Luo Huan and Mustang to be in a state of shock. After they finished listening, the smiles on their faces were long gone. Instead, their expressions were filled with sadness. "Qingqing is a good girl. I hope that she's still well." Mustang's eyes were slightly wet. Back then in the Emperor Star Academy, Old Gu was Qingqing's grandfather, and he was Old Gu's disciple. Mustang still had some feelings for the number 1 beauty of Chu, especially after Qingqing and Qin Wentian fell in love. Who would have thought that things would end up like this? "Let's hope so," Qin Wentian murmured. "Wentian, during these 2 years, we've prepared a huge surprise for you." At this moment Luo Huan giggled, as though she was intentionally changing the topic to prevent Qin Wentian from feeling sad. Qin Wentian naturally understood Luo Huan's thoughts. He smiled and asked, "What surprise?" "Little Rascal." Luo Huan turned her gaze onto Little Rascal. After which, Little Rascal let out a series of squeaking sounds as it leapt out from Qin Wentian's embrace. Turning its head back, it stared at Qin Wentian as a complacent expression appeared on its face. Tilting its head upwards, it opened its tiny mouth and sucked in abruptly. In the blink of an eye, the astral light from the constellation flowed into Little Rascal's mouth, transforming into resplendent lines. Very swiftly, the astral light from the constellation dimmed as it was swallowed into Little Rascal's stomach. Not only that, the purgatory formation spirit in the air also transformed into a beam of light as it flew into Little Rascal's mouth. Gradually, Little Rascal's body underwent a transformation. It grew larger as a pair of purgatory vermilion bird wings appeared on its back. A golden armor appeared on its forehead as the vermilion bird spirit fused together with it, frenziedly devouring the constellation in the air, wanting to devour the entire sky into its mouth. Qin Wentian was incomparably shocked when he saw this scene. He had always felt that little rascal was extraordinary. Back then it refused to leave this place with him. Could it be because of this reason? Little rascal could devour constellations. Chapter 441. Enough, enough. If you continue to swallow it, the formation will be gone. Luo Huan interrupted Little Rascal. Only then did Little Rascal stop. Shifting its gaze, Little Rascal swaggered over to Qin Wentian as it squeaked noisily, as though it was showing off in front of Qin Wentian. Under the bewildered gaze of Qin Wentian, Little Rascal's eyes would occasionally turn exceptionally gentle, as a fiery flame burned in its eyes. Spreading its wings, it would rub its head against him. Little Rascal, have you fused with purgatory? Qin Wentian exclaimed. Little Rascal's eyes regained their clarity as it nodded its head unceasingly, causing Qin Wentian to smile bitterly. He really had no idea what demonic beast Little Rascal was. Now that you're already at this cultivation realm, your strength should be pretty strong, right? How come you still can't even speak and can't transform? Qin Wentian sighed. At the start, he didn't pay much attention to Little Rascal. But when it swallowed the constellation, the aura it exuded was clearly that of a heavenly dipper sovereign. Unknowingly, Little Rascal, who loved to stick to him and lay in the embrace of beauties, had already become so powerful. Upon hearing Qin Wentian's words, Little Rascal instantly pulled a long face, as though it was unhappy. It squeaked noisily again, as though it wanted to say something but couldn't speak clearly. Looking at Little Rascal's expression, a strange thought suddenly appeared in Qin Wentian's mind. Could it be that Little Rascal was already at the Heavenly Dipper realm? If that was the case, what cultivation realm would it be at when it matured? Come, grow up quickly. Qin Wentian sliced his palm, causing a line of blood to appear. He then asked, you followed me the first time you met me. Was it because my bloodline's aura attracted you? Qin Wentian had fed his blood to Little Rascal more than once or twice. He also knew that he had a powerful demonic bloodline, which was why he asked this question. Little Rascal nodded its head heavily. Evidently, Qin Wentian's conjecture was correct. If not, why would this lecherous little fellow cling onto a man like him? Even if Qin Wentian wanted to hug it a few more times, he wouldn't be able to do so. A terrifying aura gushed forth from Qin Wentian's droplets of blood. It was as though his blood was boiling. Now that the power of his bloodline had already been activated, it contained an even more terrifying might. Little Rascal seemed to be able to sense it. It opened its mouth and allowed Qin Wentian's blood to drip into its mouth. The first time it did so, it was still very resistant. But after knowing that Qin Wentian wouldn't be affected, even if he lost a few droplets of blood, it gradually accepted this method of growth. Not too long later, Little Rascal seemed to have eaten his fill. He waddled into Luo Huan's embrace and fell asleep, causing Qin Wentian to roll his eyes. This Little Rascal truly knew how to enjoy life. Sis, when did Little Rascal become capable of devouring constellations? Qin Wentian curiously asked. Before you left, it was already capable of devouring constellations bit by bit. You don't know this, but after you all left, it almost devoured the entire formation cleanly before it spat it out again. Luo Huan recalled the time when she saw the transformation of Little Rascal. So powerful? Qin Wentian exclaimed in shock. Not only that, it can also strengthen itself by devouring constellations. This was how it broke through to the Heavenly Dipper realm. If it wasn't for the fact that it was afraid that we would lose the protection of the formation, I suspect that it would have devoured the entire formation cleanly instead of spitting it out again. Luo Huan gently rubbed Little Rascal's body, as though she was doting on it. During this period of time, the relationship between her and Little Rascal had become extremely deep. Not only that, it even has an innate ability. Mustang, who was at the side, also laughed. Momentarily, Qin Wentian's eyes brightened. He naturally knew that some powerful demonic beasts would have innate abilities that belonged solely to them. After not seeing it for over a year, Little Rascal actually broke through to the Heavenly Dipper realm and underwent a transformation. What innate ability? Qin Wentian curiously asked. It's not that powerful. Just wait for it to display it to you. Luo Huan giggled, as though she was intentionally whetting his appetite. The three of them sat together and chatted. It had been a long time since they were so relaxed. Little Rascal slept for a long time before it slowly opened its eyes. In an instant it leaped from Luo Huan's embrace into Qin Wentian's embrace, jumping up and down in a lively manner. "Come, show me your innate ability." Qin Wentian rubbed Little Rascal's head. Little Rascal's eyes brightened. It turned its head and glanced at Luo Huan before leaping into the air. Spreading its fiery wings, Little Rascal let out a soft cry as its body underwent a transformation. Very quickly, a terrifying purgatory vermilion bird appeared in the air. It was exactly the same as Qin Wentian's purgatory vermilion bird Ancient Luck. This scene caused Qin Wentian to stand up and stare at the skies. He only saw the gentle gaze of the purgatory vermilion bird. Clearly, this was the purgatory vermilion bird before it transformed into a formation spirit. But very quickly, the eyes of Little Rascal flickered as it transformed again. This time it transformed into a terrifying ancient demon. This was Qin Wentian's astral soul demonic beast, the demon sovereign. Transmogrification innate ability, Qin Wentian murmured. Yes, Little Rascal's innate ability is transmogrification. However, it doesn't increase its combat prowess by much. It doesn't have the innate abilities of other demonic beasts. Although transforming into a purgatory vermilion bird allows its body to be covered in purgatory flames, it won't be able to unleash the true might of the purgatory flames. Luo Huan smiled. Although she said this, she was still extremely shocked by Little Rascal's abilities. She had never seen such a demonic beast before. "Master Sister, there's no need for you two to stay here any longer. I've already sent people to fetch you. Let's head to the Celestial Lake Palace first." Qin Wentian spoke to Luo Huan and Mustang. The two of them weren't surprised by Qin Wentian's words. They already knew of Qin Wentian's secret. Qin Wentian still had the body of a great rock residing in the Celestial Lake Palace. "Little Rascal, after Master and the rest leave, secretly swallow this formation and bring it away. Don't digest it, I don't want purgatory to disappear." Qin Wentian stared at the air. Little Rascal transformed into the form of a purgatory vermilion bird. The purgatory vermilion bird swooped down and landed on Qin Wentian's shoulder, causing Qin Wentian to laugh. "I promise you I won't let you disappear." A few days later, a few silhouettes accidentally entered the formation. They didn't attract any attention at all. Currently, everyone in the outside world knew that Qin Wentian, Ouyang Guangxing and the rest were not within the formation. Who would bother monitoring the formation? These demonic silhouettes actually transformed into demonic beasts and brought Mustang and Luo Huan away. Evidently, their true bodies were demonic beasts. Although there was no one monitoring the formation, for the sake of safety, the Great Rock had personally come, flying in the skies. After exiting the Gingku continent, Mustang and Luo Huan were sent into the skies and mounted on the back of the Great Rock. There, they saw the other body of Qin Wentian before they left together with the Great Rock. As for Little Rascal, it followed Qin Wentian and stayed behind in Gingku. That night, in Gingku, the formation of the ancient kingdom of Grand Xia mysteriously vanished. On the morning of the second day, this news caused quite a commotion. Those transcendent powers arrived, wanting to investigate the reason behind the disappearance of the formation. Naturally, they also wanted to see if there were any secrets left behind in Grand Xia. Other than them, many others from Gingku also entered the ancient kingdom. Si Qiong and the other transcendent powers had long since left, and there were no longer any experts left to guard Grand Xia. How could it not be turned upside down? However, in the ancient kingdom there was nothing left behind, only ruins and ruins. And in this ancient kingdom, there was a person that attracted the attention of many. This person was extraordinarily handsome, and had a pair of sharp eyebrows. His entire person exuded an aura of sharpness. However, what truly attracted the attention of others wasn't his looks. In Gingku, there were simply too many young men with extraordinary demeanors. What made people startled was the mount he was riding. At this moment, this young man stood in the skies, and beneath his feet was a great rock. This great rock was over 100 meters in length. Its claws were as sharp as hooks, and its eyes flashed with lightning. It floated in the air, exuding the aura of a hegemon of the skies. The appearance of this great rock caused people to recall the battle at the Pill Emperor Hall. Qin Wentian had transformed into a primordial great rock, wielding a demon sword as he destroyed the Pill Emperor Hall. And now, a primordial great rock actually appeared in Ginkgo. How could it not attract the attention of others? It was rumored that the primordial great rock Qin Wentian had transformed into was a monarch of the skies, with a wingspan of 3,000 meters. But even so, the appearance of a primordial great rock in the skies right now was truly shocking. Let alone the fact that this great rock was being ridden by a young man. Who was this young man? A group of figures had sharp gazes as they stared at Qin Wentian, their eyes flashing with a cold light. These people were none other than experts from the great Solarchan clan of Ginkgo. When they saw the great rock, they naturally thought of Qin Wentian. Back then in the Moon continent, this young man not only destroyed the Pill Emperor Hall, he even killed several experts from the great Solarchan clan. Scram! A middle-aged man stared at Qin Wentian with a scorching light in his eyes. One of his sons had been killed by accident in the Pill Emperor Hall, and as he stared at the great rock, the flames of hatred instantly ignited in his heart. Qin Wentian glanced at the middle-aged man. His aura was extremely powerful, and he had a cultivation base at the 3rd level of Heavenly Dipper. The people beside him were all Heavenly Dipper sovereigns as well. These people were only sent here to scout the ancient kingdom. From this, one could see how deep the foundations of the great Solarchan clan were. Are you talking to me? Qin Wentian stared at the middle-aged man as he coldly laughed in his heart. Just a single glance at the blazing flames in the middle-aged man's eyes, as well as the fiery qi gushing forth from the middle-aged man's bloodline, he already knew that this middle-aged man cultivated the great solar universe art. Naturally, he was an expert from the great Solarchan clan. Seize his demonic beast. The middle-aged man's eyes flashed with a cold light when he saw Qin Wentian asking him a question. Instantly, the experts from the great Solarchan clan all exuded a tyrannical aura. No matter who this middle-aged man was to the great Solarchan clan, what difference did it make? The middle-aged man's first sentence, telling Qin Wentian to scram, meant that he already had the intention of seizing the primordial great rock. Chapter 442. The ancient great rock was one of the 8 demonic divinities in the legends. It was a demonic divinity that could connect with the heavens. If one transformed into a demonic divinity, their wingspan would be over 3,000 miles, and with a single flap of their wings, they could even shatter the constellations. A great rock was exceedingly rare. Back then, Qin Wentian had also displayed his tyrannical strength in the Pill Emperor Hall. And now, in the Ginkgo continent, there was actually another great rock. Not only that, it wasn't an extremely powerful one. How could it not attract the greed of others? At this moment, the middle-aged man from the great Solarchan clan was thinking in his heart. This trip to the ancient kingdom of Granxia was fruitless. If they could obtain a great rock, it would be a pleasant surprise. As for this young man, he would interrogate him to find out his identity. In the entire Granxia, there weren't many powers that their great Solarchan clan couldn't afford to antagonize. Wanting to kill me just because of a single disagreement? This is the conduct of the great Solarchan clan. Qin Wentian coldly laughed as he stared at the middle-aged man. He was still calmly standing on the back of the great rock with his hands clasped behind his back, as though he didn't care about these people at all. Who asked you to not know what's good for you? The middle-aged man waved his hands, causing the others to move forwards, surrounding Qin Wentian. Ha! Right at this moment, a burst of hearty laughter could be heard, as expected of the great Solarchan clan, as arrogant as ever, not knowing what's good for you. So what if I kill you? If there comes a day when your great Solarchan clan falls, you would be like a rat on the street, hated by everyone. You guys better pray that your Chun clan can remain strong forever. As the sound of his voice faded, a group of silhouettes appeared not far away. The person in the lead was clad in violet robes that seemed to contain a hint of violet lightning, exuding a sense of arrogance. This person was extremely young, roughly 26 to 27 years old. His cultivation base was already at the peak of the 2nd level of Heavenly Dipper. Beside him, there were several other youths. Although they were all young, their demeanors were extraordinary, causing many to involuntarily praise them. These people were none other than those who had participated in the Heavenly Fate rankings last year. That violet-robed young man was none other than Ouyang Quangxing from the Ouyang aristocrat clan, while the others around him were all good friends of Ouyang Quangsheng. As for the white-robed fatty with a shameless smile on his face, he was none other than Fan Lu, and the tall and sturdy young man was none other than Chu Mang. Ouyang Quangsheng. The middle-aged man from the Chun clan turned his head back as a fiery light flickered in his eyes. You want to meddle in other people's business? The middle-aged man asked coldly. No, if you can snatch other people's demons, then after you snatch it, can I also snatch yours? Ouyang Quangsheng laughed. There were many experts behind him. Their strength far exceeded that of the great Solar Chun clan. Evidently, the Ouyang aristocrat clan didn't dare to be careless. After all, this was the territory of the great Solar Chun clan. Ouyang Quangsheng, you seem to be in a good mood. A cold laughter drifted over. Not far away, a group of silhouettes could be seen walking over. These people exuded an aura as sharp as a divine weapon, and were none other than the experts from the Wang clan of the War Continent. Right now the various transcendent powers had gathered in Ginkgo, and compared to 3 years ago, it was unknown how many times more powerful they were. Each transcendent power had sent a terrifying force to guard Ginkgo. This was especially so after the great battle between the 5 transcendent powers. They all felt that a storm would descend at any moment, and were all prepared for it. I'm only here to take a look. How can I be in a good mood? Ouyang Quangsheng swept his gaze over to those from the Wang clan. Recently, the Wang clan and Great Solar Chun clan had gotten closer and closer. It seemed like there was a high possibility that they would join forces. This wasn't a good omen at all. The Great Solar Chun clan and Hua clan were originally allies because of the great battle between them. Against the transcendent powers of the Great Solar Chun clan, they would always stand on the same side. And if the Wang clan of the War Continent was added into the mix, their combined strength would be too terrifying. The Chun clan, Wang clan and Hua clan were all part of the 9 grand clans of Granxia. Up until now, they were still ranked within the top 9 among the transcendent powers. As for the Ouyang aristocrat clan, Jiang clan and Mystic Moon sect, they obviously couldn't be compared to these 3. It's just a demonic beast. It's fine if the Chun clan wants it. Yet your Ouyang aristocrat clan wants to interfere? If this isn't in a good mood, then what is? Those from the Wang clan mocked. They naturally didn't have a good impression of Ouyang Quangsheng. The Wang clan and Qin Wentian had always had a grudge between them. In the Sword Reverence City, the Wang clan's group that went to the Sword Reverence Cliff was completely annihilated. Even the chosen Wang Ju had died under Qin Wentian's demon sword. In the Pill Emperor Hall, the Wang clan once again suffered heavy casualties. With regards to Qin Wentian, the Wang clan hated him to the bone. Luckily, Qin Wentian hadn't appeared for a very long time, and it was highly probable that he had already died. However, Ouyang Quangsheng and the others were all good friends of Qin Wentian, and were secretly targeting the transcendent powers that stood against Qin Wentian back then. It seemed that because of Qin Wentian, the transcendent powers of Granxia were divided into 2 factions. Just a demonic beast? Qin Wentian laughed. The words of these people from the Wang clan were so light. Upon hearing Qin Wentian's cold laughter, the experts from the Wang clan turned their gazes onto Qin Wentian as cold laughter flickered in their eyes. Could it be that you think I've spoken wrongly? I'm laughing at the Wang clan for boasting shamelessly, seeking their own humiliation. Qin Wentian quietly stood with his hands clasped behind his back, standing on the back of the great rock. His words caused the eyes of those from the Wang clan to flash with coldness as killing intent gushed forth from them. It was one thing if Ouyang Quangsheng dared to provoke the Wang clan, but a mere Heavenly Dipper sovereign actually dared to be so audacious? Now, who doesn't know what happened back then in the Sword Reverence City and the Pill Emperor Hall? It was a demonic beast that transformed into a great rock, slaughtering the members of the Wang clan. The transcendent powers of Granxia, the Wang clan, didn't even have the courage to face that great rock head-on. Now that the scars have healed, they have forgotten the pain. It was as though Qin Wentian didn't feel the coldness of the other party as he spoke. How could the people in the surroundings not understand? The person Qin Wentian was referring to was naturally Qin Wentian, who had transformed into a primordial demonic beast. Do you think you can compare yourself to Qin Wentian just because you obtained a primordial demonic great rock? Do you know how the word death is written? One of the experts from the Wang clan didn't even bother to mask the threat in his voice. I don't want to compare myself to the top ranker of the Pill Emperor Hall, But at the very least I have never placed people like you in my eyes. Qin Wentian laughed. Back then I heard that Qin Wentian's name shook the entire Grand Xia. Even when facing the attacks of the various transcendent powers, he didn't destroy this place. Who would have thought that today, Qin Wentian, would meet with such a calamity? As the sound of his voice faded, the great rock beneath him soared up, landing on a gigantic pillar as it stared down at those from the Chan clan and Wang clan. I have a cultivation base at the second level of Heavenly Dipper. If the Chan and Wang clan still have a shred of arrogance left in them, they can choose anyone at the same level as me to kill me. If I die, it means that I am useless. You guys can bring this primordial great rock away. But of course if you guys are used to ganging up on me, I don't mind. Qin Wentian didn't even wait for his opponents to act. His voice rang out in all directions, causing the countenances of those from the Chan and Wang clan to turn incredibly unsightly. This person's schemes were truly deep. He actually took the initiative to speak out. In that case, if they directly ganged up on Qin Wentian and killed him, it would mean that the Chan and Wang clan had no other experts left. I Ouyang would also like to see for myself how strong the experts from the Chan and Wang clan are. Given how unexcelled they are in this world, I'm sure it would be easy for them to suppress those at the same level as them. Ouyang Quangxing spoke in a carefree tone. His silhouettes flickered as they descended into the air, waiting to watch a good show. Those from the Chan and Wang clan exchanged glances. After which, the middle-aged man from the Chan clan laughed. Since my Chan clan regards this great rock so highly, Chan Yuan, go ahead. Evidently, the Chan clan didn't wish for the great rock to land in the hands of others. Chen Yuan was over 50 years of age this year, yet he looked like someone in his 30s. His spirit was hale and hearty, and his cultivation base was at the second level of Heavenly Dipper. He had been at this level for many years and his foundation was extremely stable. As a core descendant of the Great Solar Chen clan, he cultivated the Great Solar Universe art, and his combat prowess was extremely high. Although they didn't know who Qin Wentian was, based on Chan Yuan's tyrannical combat prowess, it wouldn't be difficult for him to kill Qin Wentian. Chen Yuan stepped out and abruptly, a surge of scorching heat gushed forth as an astral nova manifested. This astral nova was in the form of a crimson humanoid figure, and the temperature of its body was incomparably terrifying. Go! With a wave of his hand, the astral nova whistled through the air, shooting towards Qin Wentian. Instantly, a terrifying heat permeated the air, as though a scorching heat was being absorbed into Qin Wentian's body. With a flick of the finger of the astral nova, the shadow of the astral nova shot towards Qin Wentian. VZ! The raging flames engulfed Qin Wentian, burning him up. However, the spectators only saw that Qin Wentian was still floating in the air, not moving an inch at all, ignoring the scorching heat of the flames. Stepping out, Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he directly appeared in front of Chan Yuan's astral nova. Without hesitation, he blasted out with his palms. Chen Yuan coldly laughed. His astral nova had been tempered hundreds and thousands of times, and was incomparably sturdy, comparable to a divine weapon. It was forged from the great solar cosmos fire, and its temperature was exceedingly high. How could it possibly withstand Qin Wentian's fleshly body? Chen Yuan waved his palms as his astral nova smashed downwards. The entire astral nova seemed to have transformed into a boundless amount of cosmos fire, as terrifying lava flowed within, wanting to land on Qin Wentian's body. Qin Wentian's palms slammed out, directly imprinting onto the astral nova. An instant later, the astral nova was shattered into pieces. Chen Yuan's astral nova was destroyed, and his body suffered severe injuries as he coughed out a mouthful of blood. However, at this moment he explosively retreated, only to see Qin Wentian slowly walking over, his steps incomparably elegant, akin to a great rock. With a smile on his face, he blasted out a palm strike. Chen Yuan congregated all of his strength as flames gushed forth from his body, attempting to defend against this attack. However, at the instant the two of them collided, Chen Yuan only felt the boundless might contained within his opponent's palm strike. Boom! The sound of a bell chime rang out directly in his heart. He stared at the smile in Qin Wentian's eyes as an expression of terror appeared on his face. But an instant later, his meridians were shattered, and his gaze instantly turned dull. Qin Wentian didn't hesitate to snatch away his interspatial ring. His silhouette flickered as he returned to the back of the great rock, smiling at those from the Chan clan. This interspatial ring can be considered as the spoils of war. ID will not accept anything else from you. If the Chun clan or Wang clan wishes to continue teaching me, ID won't decline. Qin Wentian laughed as he stared at them. His actions caused the hearts of the spectators to tremble. Chun Yuan's strength wasn't weak, yet he was killed so easily. From this, one could see how powerful this person was. Chapter 443. Those from the Chan and Wang clan also stared at Qin Wentian, their countenances gleaming with sharpness. With such combat prowess, how could he be a nobody? Which sect are you from? An expert from the Chan clan coldly asked. My master is someone from the wilderness, and in addition to my stubbornness, I didn't manage to obtain even a 10,000th of my master's true inheritance. Hence, I don't dare to use my name to show off. At this moment, Qin Wentian was still standing there with his hands clasped behind his back. But because he had defeated Chen Yuan, the spectators couldn't help but feel that he was extraordinary. The Granxia Empire was boundlessly vast, with experts as common as the clouds. Other than the various transcendent powers, there were also some hidden cultivators with tyrannical strength. In fact, there were even some who were ranked on the Heavenly Dipper rankings who had left Granxia, but there were still some who chose to remain in Granxia. In addition to the history of Granxia, who knew how many hidden experts there were. It wasn't strange for Qin Wentian to say that he was a disciple of a hidden cultivator. For example, Mu Feng. He was the disciple of the Poison Monarch. Although the Poison Monarch wasn't from a transcendent power, who would dare to look down on him? His disciples were all experts in the use of poison. Even the transcendent powers wouldn't be able to recruit them. Is that so? Since this is the case, I really want to see who your master is exactly. That expert from the Chung clan waved his hands as a group of experts stepped out, pressing down on Qin Wentian. These people stood arrogantly in the air, surrounding Qin Wentian as a tyrannical aura gushed forth, boring down on Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian, exuding a terrifying might. Although there were many hidden cultivators in the Granxia Empire, for those who were extremely famous, they would definitely have a unique innate technique or cultivation art. Just like Mu Feng's poison, they could easily recognize it. As long as they forced Qin Wentian to use his secret technique, they would be able to tell who his master was. Of course, the Chun clan had used such an excuse to encircle and annihilate Qin Wentian because they knew that they wouldn't be able to look Qin Wentian in the eye if they fought him alone, and they were afraid of losing face, so they'd intentionally found an excuse to attack together. Qin Wentian stood on the great rock staring at the people in the void. There are 5 Heavenly Dipper Realm second-layer powerhouses came at the same time, and for a time the pressure swept over. Boom! A terrifying gravitational force bore down on his body, as though he was carrying the weight of an ancient mountain on his shoulders. Only to see a figure stepping out, with a wave of his hand, an ancient mountain appeared in his palm. This ancient mountain was actually an astral nova. Another person's eyes became extremely deep. In his eyes, there seemed to be wisps of the netherworld fire burning Qin Wentian's eyes. Another person stepped forward, causing the air to tremble as a willpower that seemed capable of destroying everything exploded out, so intense that Qin Wentian couldn't even breathe. 5 Heavenly Dipper sovereigns walked towards Qin Wentian at the same time. One could very well imagine how strong the pressure was. Qin Wentian didn't mind it at all. He stood there proudly, staring at the 5 Heavenly Dipper sovereigns in the air, his countenance as calm as ever. Boom! A towering flame palm imprint slammed downwards, blasting towards Qin Wentian. At the same time, the gravitational force grew even stronger as the ancient mountain peak in the air descended, aiming for Qin Wentian's head. If it were to land on him, Qin Wentian would definitely be annihilated. The 5 Heavenly Dipper sovereigns all unleashed their innate techniques. Fire dragons danced in the air, palm imprints blotted out the sky, ancient mountain peaks suppressing everything. For a moment Qin Wentian was in the middle of a chaotic torrent of attacks, as though he could be destroyed at any moment. Qin Wentian inclined his head, his smile still on his face. He leisurely stepped out, ignoring the chaotic attacks as he soared up into the air. Clenching his fists tightly, Qin Wentian's fists were filled with blazing flames, as though the power of his bloodline was gushing forth. The power of his bloodline seemed to be on the verge of igniting, causing Qin Wentian's body to be enveloped by a terrifying halo of light, causing him to appear exceptionally demonic. As the palm imprint in ancient mountain peak descended, Qin Wentian blasted out with both his palms. His left palm slammed into the flame palm imprint, while his right palm directly slammed into the bottom of the ancient mountain peak. Gotcha! A crisp sound rang out as cracks appeared on the surface of the ancient mountain peak. The cracks extended outwards, causing the Heavenly Dipper sovereigns to cough out blood. His countenance turned pale as he tried to retract his astral nova. Qin Wentian glanced at the Heavenly Dipper sovereigns, as though he was mocking his stupidity. Earlier, he had already destroyed the astral nova of one of the Heavenly Dipper sovereigns, yet this Heavenly Dipper sovereign still dared to use his astral nova against him? Wasn't he courting death? Bang! An explosive sound rang out as the Heavenly Dipper sovereigns of the Heavenly Dipper sovereigns were directly destroyed by a single strike. How terrifying was the power of such an attack? Right now, Qin Wentian's mandate of force and mandate of demons were already at the advanced boundary of the second level, not the initial boundary. How terrifying would the might of his astral nova be? In addition to the power of his bloodline, his attacks and defenses were amplified to perfection. In fact, when his bloodline ignition erupted forth, he could even directly jump levels. Not only that, Qin Wentian's Yuanfu contained divine energy. Although it was just an ordinary strike, the power contained within it was so tyrannical that even a third-level Heavenly Dipper sovereigns might not be able to withstand it. How could his astral nova not shatter? At the instant Qin Wentian destroyed his astral nova, the other attacks all rained down on him. However, Qin Wentian merely laughed coldly. With a wave of his hands, a resplendent sword light appeared, arcing through the air, cleaving everything in its path apart. We can't use our astral novas to attack anymore. The five of them all had the same thought in their minds. If they used their astral novas to attack Qin Wentian, they would be directly destroyed by him. Great solar illumination art. One of them roared in rage. Momentarily, the five of them stood in 5 different directions, frenziedly circulating the great solar universe art. In an instant, an incomparably resplendent light radiated from the 5 of them, illuminating the entire space as all of their attacks pierced towards Qin Wentian. In an instant, the terrifying might radiating from their attacks seemed to want to incinerate Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian snorted. His palms blasted out in the direction of the Heavenly Dipper sovereigns whose astral novas were shattered by him. A terrifying golden claw manifested in the air, and with an abrupt clench, the claw directly grabbed onto a second-level Heavenly Dipper sovereigns. Extinguish! Qin Wentian coldly spat out. The golden claw directly slashed downwards, instantly destroying that Heavenly Dipper sovereigns. His actions caused the hearts of the other 4 to tremble, but at this moment, there was no longer any path of retreat. The great solar bloodline in their bodies was ignited, as all of them rushed towards Qin Wentian. It was as though a blazing sun had appeared directly on Qin Wentian, wanting to incinerate Qin Wentian into oblivion. Qin Wentian could feel the terrifying heat radiating from his body. It felt as though his entire body was on the verge of burning up. That scorching heat directly permeated into his body, destroying it bit by bit. At this moment, the power of his bloodline grew even more violent. Droplets of blood seeped into his palms, exuding a terrifying aura. Pung! 2 palm imprints simultaneously erupted forth from Qin Wentian's palms, slamming into 2 of the Heavenly Dipper sovereigns with the speed of lightning. The palm imprints were too fast, there was basically no time for them to dodge. But at the instant the 2 of them were struck by the palm imprints, they instantly let out miserable screams. After which, under the shocked gazes of the crowd, the vitality of their bodies was completely corroded away as they directly fell from the air. The countenances of the other 2 Heavenly Dipper sovereigns drastically changed. They wanted to retreat, but how could Qin Wentian give up? 2 more droplets of blood seeped into his palms, as a blood-colored palm imprint instantly slammed into their backs. Just like before, the 2 of them died in an instant. As for Qin Wentian's body, the blood in his body was still boiling, as a surge of heat transformed into flames that radiated outwards from his body. This was the great solar universe art's fire attribute energy that was forced into his body, forcibly forced out by his bloodline, and was unable to destroy his body. His silhouette flickered. Qin Wentian prepared to collect his spoils of war. However, the middle-aged man from the Great Solar Clan had already rushed over. Qin Wentian coldly laughed as another droplet of blood seeped into his palms. His palms turned the color of blood as he slowly stretched them out. That middle-aged man's countenance abruptly changed as he frantically retreated, not daring to clash head-on with Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian laughed mockingly. With a wave of his hands, the interspatial rings of the 5 heavenly dipper sovereigns were all taken away. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered as he returned to the back of the great rock. He casually stood there with his hands clasped behind his back, exuding an unexcelled aura. This man is so strong. The spectators stared at Qin Wentian's silhouette. He had easily killed 5 cultivators at the same level as him, and not only that, they were all experts from the Great Solar Chung clan who had cultivated the Great Solar Universe art. This man's combat prowess was on a demon level. Not only that, he hadn't even released his astral novas yet. Ouyang Guangxing and the rest all had expressions of surprise on their faces. Those from the Wang clan all had extremely gloomy expressions on their faces. Evidently they had judged wrongly. This man's combat prowess was extremely high, and the sect he came from was definitely extraordinary. The one whose countenance was the most unsightly was naturally the middle-aged man from the Great Solar Chan clan. His eyes gleamed as he stared at Qin Wentian. What you used earlier, was it the blood curse imprint? The blood curse imprint was one of the 9 ultimate arts of Grand Xia that had long been lost. Using blood as a sacrifice, one could unleash a curse imprint that would instantly corrode the flesh and blood of those who were struck by it, turning them into dried bones. Although Qin Wentian's imprint was slightly different, it was extremely similar to the blood curse imprint. There's no need for you to know. Qin Wentian emotionlessly replied. Sir, you killed an expert from my Great Solar Chun clan. Regardless of who your master is, my Great Solar Chun clan still has to learn a thing or two from you. The countenance of the middle-aged man from the Great Solar Chun clan was cold. As he spoke, the people beside him had already departed. Evidently, they had gone to inform the Chun clan. I've long heard of Chun Wang's fame. Ranked second in 6 consecutive years, ID missed the ranking battle 3 years ago. Now that I've broken through to Heavenly Dipper, I'm naturally not suitable to contend for supremacy on the Heavenly Fate rankings. Since that's the case, I can only stay here in the Ancient Kingdom to seek guidance from the Great Solar Chan clan. Qin Wentian flicked his sleeves as he soared up into the air, landing on the peak of an ancient pillar. The great rock hovered beside him as it stared down at him. Ouyang Guangxing and the rest also landed on the pillars, causing the eyes of the spectators to gleam with sharpness. It seemed like there would be a show to watch today. This man actually dared to mock Chun Wang as the number 2 for 1,000 years. The news of what happened in the Ancient Kingdom soon circulated around. Many experts from the Shi clan, Thousand Ju Alliance, and Hua clan all came to the Ancient Kingdom. For a period of time, it was as though another gathering of experts was about to take place in the Ancient Kingdom. And this time around, the main character was actually a young man with the surname D. It was said that the ultimate art he was proficient in was one of the 9 ultimate arts of Grand Xia, the Blood Curse Imprint. Chapter 444. In the Ancient Kingdom of Grand Xia, a storm was brewing once more as the transcendent powers all headed over. Right now in Ginkgo, the Heavenly Fate rankings were about to be announced. It was unknown how many elites had gathered here. Not only were the Great Solar Chung clan, Shi clan, Thousand Ju Alliance from Ginkgo, the Hua clan, Star Seizing Manor and Skyember sect from the Moon continent all arrived as well. Other than them, the other transcendent powers of the 9 continents were also present. At this moment in the Ancient Kingdom of Grand Xia, the sound of wind whistling unceasingly could be heard as experts appeared. Who would have thought that a young man surnamed D would cause such a commotion? But after thinking about it, they understood that the reason why these people came wasn't simply because of the young man surnamed D. Right now, the transcendent powers of Grand Xia were already at odds with each other. There were even some who had already declared war against each other. Now the slightest disturbance could cause a terrifying storm. It was rumored that the young man surnamed D wasn't the only one in Grand Xia. The Ouyang aristocrat clan was also present. The grudge between them and the Chun clan was extremely obvious. There are so many experts. The Chun clan, Hua clan and Wang clan are all here. Even the Ouyang aristocrat clan and Jiang clan are here. The Sky Demon sect, Beast King Hall and Phoenix Cry Valley from the Demon Continent are here as well. Even the 9 Mystical Palace, Green Cloud Pavilion and Misty Peak from the Qing Continent are here. The crowd swept their gazes across the various powers in the air, feeling a wave of shock in their hearts. Before this, they had never thought that so many experts would be drawn out. Although some powers did not send many people and only sent a few, it was enough to show how sensitive the situation in Granxia was right now. Even the slightest change could affect the entire situation. Chun Wang has arrived. At this moment, the silhouette of Chun Wang appeared in the direction of the Chun clan. He wasn't alone. Beside him there were a few others. Among them, one of them was extremely conspicuous, exuding a terrifying aura. He looked extremely young. Yet everyone knew that this young man had already been famous for many years. He was a dazzling character ranked on the Heavenly Fate rankings 3 batches ago. 3 batches, 9 years. 9 years ago, the most dazzling existence of the younger generation of the Chun clan was none other than Chun Fan. Back then, he was ranked 2nd on the Heavenly Fate rankings, and now his cultivation base had already broken through to the 5th level of Heavenly Dipper. Before Chun Wang broke through to Heavenly Dipper, he had always been a Heaven's Chosen of the Great Solar Chun clan. Both he and Chun Wang were strong contenders for the leadership of the Great Solar Chun clan. Although this person's name was Chen Fan, he was not ordinary at all. His eyes were flowing with the light of the great sun, as if it could burn people. Chen Fan, Chun Wang. Only to see that the 3rd level Heavenly Dipper sovereign from the Chun clan had a look of respect on his face when he saw the two of them. Although he was an elder, the status of these two in the Great Solar Chun clan was extraordinary. They were nurtured as the future leaders of the Great Solar Chun clan. In the future, if one of them broke through to Celestial Phenomenon first, he would become one of the leaders of the Great Solar Chun clan. The two of them nodded slightly, but they both looked at Qin Wentian with extremely sharp expressions. Chun Fan walked out and stood in the sky, looking at the figure in front of him. Is he the one who killed my family? Chun Fan asked coldly. Yes. That expert from the Great Solar Chun clan nodded in reply. Momentarily, Chen Fan stepped forward, and very swiftly, he appeared in the airspace above Qin Wentian. It was as though he wanted to occupy a higher vantage point, staring down at Qin Wentian from above. A brilliant light flashed as an astral nova in the form of a blazing sun appeared above his head. Astral novas were the materialization of astral souls. His 4th astral soul was a blazing sun astral soul from the 5th heavenly layer. It contained an incomparably scorching temperature, and every beam of light from it contained an intense killing intent. Astral novas were incomparably terrifying. Only to see Chun Fan lifting his foot and stomping downwards. Instantly, boundless beams of light cascaded downwards, piercing into Qin Wentian's body. A stifling pressure bore down on Qin Wentian, tearing through his robes, as though they were on the verge of igniting. Qin Wentian's blood surged as a halo of light enveloped him. However, Chen Fan continued stomping downwards as countless beams of light shot into Qin Wentian's body, causing Qin Wentian's skin to feel as though it was on the verge of burning, as his entire body turned red. He inclined his head and stared at Chun Fan. This person's cultivation base was extremely tyrannical, at the 5th level of Heavenly Dipper, 3 levels higher than him. The might of his astral nova was incomparably terrifying, and in addition to the fact that this person was a demon-level genius on the same level as Chun Wang, his combat prowess was incomparable. The aura exuding from Chen Fan rose unceasingly, but at this moment, Chun Fan flicked his sleeves as he retracted his astral nova. Staring at Qin Wentian, he stated, "You can't even withstand a single strike. Killing you is beneath me." After speaking, he turned and returned to the Chun clan. It wasn't that he couldn't kill Qin Wentian, but rather, Qin Wentian had challenged the Chun clan, and the Chun king would naturally kill him. Killing someone from the Chun clan meant that Qin Wentian had no path of survival in Ginkgo. A 5th level Heavenly Dipper sovereign bullying a 2nd level Heavenly Dipper sovereign? Chun Fan of the Great Solar Chun clan has truly experienced it. Ouyang Quangxing mocked. his words causing Chun Fan to shift his gaze onto the members of the Ouyang aristocrat clan. These people had protected Ouyang Quangxing very well. I won't act, Chun Wang, and the rest will naturally kill this person. Could it be that you, Ouyang Quangxing, want to come out and try? Chun Fan coldly snorted, causing Ouyang Quangxing to flutter his violet robes as he stepped out. Sure, I'll try. Back then in the heavenly fate rankings, Chun Wang was only ranked second for 1,000 years. Since I'm here today, I'd like to spar with him. As Ouyang Quangxing stepped out, Chu Meng and Fan Lu also stepped out. Evidently, they didn't want Ouyang Quangxing to fight alone. Although Chun Wang was only at the second level of Heavenly Dipper, his cultivation base was extremely stable. He had already been at the peak of the second level for a long period of time, making him extremely difficult to deal with. There aren't so many people from my Chung clan here today. Which of the transcendent powers are willing to act? Chun Fan swept a glance at these people. He naturally understood that although Chun Wang had the advantage in terms of strength, if he were to fight against so many people at the same time, he would definitely be at a disadvantage. Not only that, he was clear that these people were all good friends of Qin Wentian. Now, their combat prowess was extremely high, especially when they worked together. A few silhouettes walked out from the crowd. They were from the direction of the War Continent's Wang clan. After which, from the direction of the Hua clan, a few others also stepped out. In an instant, the situation was reversed. But at the same time, from the direction of the Zhang clan in the Wind Continent, there were also people who stepped out, standing together with Ouyang Quangxing and the others. It's these transcendent powers again, wanting to use this opportunity to start another war. But this time around, the Wang clan, Chang clan, and Hua clan are all on the same side. In that case, the Ouyang aristocrat clan would no longer have any advantage. The hearts of the spectators mused. Indeed, that young man surnamed D was just a bait. After which, from the direction of the Mystic Moon Hall, a person walked out. The person in the lead was clad in black. Momentarily, numerous sharp gazes landed on her. Bai Qing, the netherworld slaughter god. Many had died in her hands. She was extremely dangerous and was the #1 target on the list of people to kill. The various transcendent powers surrounded an area. And in the air, the experts from the various transcendent powers stepped out once again. Last time the tempest was caused by Hua Taishu. This time around it was because of that young man surnamed D. Terrifying Qingquan flames blazed around Chun Wang as he released his astral nova. This time around he wanted these people to die. Let me deal with her first. Chun Wang pointed to Bai Qing as he spoke. His silhouette flickered as he descended from the sky. His palms transformed into the arms of a lava giant as he abruptly grabbed towards Bai Qing. In the air, the lava giant bore down on Bai Qing, causing the temperature of the surrounding space to rise so high that it could even vaporize people. Devil might gushed forth from Bai Qing, causing the entire sky to darken. It was as though the rays of light were no longer able to shine down. A terrifying devil's saber appeared in her hands as she directly slashed out with it. Big bro Chu Meng. Fanla called out. Momentarily, the two of them took out their astral bows and shot out their arrows at the same instant, akin to true lightning bolts as they shot towards Chun Wang. However, the experts from the Hua clan and Wang clan directly rushed over. Ouyang Quangxing and the experts from the Zhang clan directly rushed over, and a battle instantly erupted. As for Qin Wentian, he still stood there, as though he had been forgotten by everyone. For the time being, those who participated in this tempest were all at the second and third level of Heavenly Dipper. Those at the first level of Heavenly Dipper weren't qualified, and those at the fourth level were still spectating. I don't have the time to wait for him here. At this moment, Qin Wentian had a carefree smile on his face. His silhouette flickered as he sped towards the direction of the largest battle. The violet lightning around Ouyang Quangxing towered up the skies. The experts from the Wang clan had bodies akin to divine weapons, and the experts from the Hua clan had incomparably exquisite innate techniques. Be careful of that person, that's the blood curse imprint. Someone noticed Qin Wentian's blood congealing at the center of his palms. After which, his palm imprint turned the color of blood as he reminded Qin Wentian. However, Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered, leaving behind a series of afterimages as he blasted out with his palms. One of the experts from the Wang clan couldn't even react in time. The blood-colored palm imprint directly slammed into the center of the brows of an expert from the Wang clan, instantly devouring the life force of that expert. Go and kill him. The countenances of the experts from the Wang clan stiffened. Momentarily, a silhouette stepped out. This person was clad in a set of white divine armor, and wielded a resplendent long spear in his hands. His aura was extremely powerful, indicating that he had a cultivation base at the 3rd level of Heavenly Dipper. Wang Jian is an extremely powerful Heavenly Dipper sovereign of the Wang clan. He was once ranked within the top 10 of the Heavenly Fate rankings, only to see Wang Jian walking over, his spear explosively piercing out. Qin Wentian abruptly spun around, only to see that the spear was like a speck of light, capable of penetrating through everything, directly piercing towards the center of his brows. That whistling sound of wind caused the hearts of those who saw it to tremble. Qin Wentian lifted his fist and punched out in rage. The terrifying might of his fist caused the long spear to deviate from its original position. But Wang Jian was also an extremely powerful character. His palms were incomparably stable, spinning the long spear in his hands as his silhouette flickered. Qin Wentian only felt the spear shooting towards him like a bolt of white lightning. Vizi! A raging wind gusted by as Qin Wentian retreated. At this moment, in the direction of the 9 mystical palace, a few experts stepped out with a wave of their hands, dashing towards Qin Wentian. These people all exuded a terrifying might of lightning, and as they punched out, the might of lightning converged into a lightning pearl, sealing off all of Qin Wentian's paths of retreat. Those from the 9 mystical palace actually made their move. Do they want to stand on the same side as the great Solar Chung clan? The spectators only saw the lightning pearl exploding as a violet light flashed. Qin Wentian's path of retreat was sealed off, and the lightning long spear pierced through the lightning, about to reach Qin Wentian. Chapter 445. The 9 mystical palaces' actions caused many to be taken aback. As a transcendent power located at the border of Granxia, the 9 mystical palace couldn't be compared to the Ouyang aristocrat clan. They could only be ranked at the bottom of the 36 transcendent powers. Their actions at this moment had an extraordinary significance. Although they only acted against the young man surnamed D, it was still possible that they would be viewed as standing against the Ouyang aristocrat clan. Naturally, there was another possibility. They wanted to form an alliance with the great Solar Chung clan. It was said that the conflict between the 9 mystical palace and the Green Cloud Pavilion was getting deeper and deeper. Maybe the 9 mystical palace wanted to find another way out. At this moment, the experts from the 9 mystical palace simultaneously acted against the young man surnamed D, sealing his path of retreat. In addition to Wang Jian's spear strike, it was as though they wanted to kill that young man. As expected, Qin Wentian could use stellar transposition to escape. However, he didn't want to reveal too many of the ultimate arts of Granxia. If not, others might be able to guess his true identity. If he only used the blood curse imprint from the start till the end, it wouldn't arouse too much suspicion. Lifting his palms, Wang Jian abruptly grabbed onto the long spear. However, Wang Jian wasn't someone to be trifled with. With a twist of his palms, countless beams of spear light shot forth as a tyrannical will of mandates erupted forth. The rapidly revolving long spear seemed as though it wanted to devour everything in its path, transforming into a point of extreme killing intent as it continued shooting forth. Everything happened as fast as lightning. Qin Wentian's palms turned blood red as a destructive might gushed forth, causing Wang Jian's countenance to stiffen. And at this instant, Qin Wentian released his grip on the long spear as he slammed it towards Wang Jian. In that instant, Wang Jian didn't even have time to think. He directly retreated. Even if his long spear could pierce through Qin Wentian's body, the blood curse imprint would be imprinted on Qin Wentian's head. That was a sure death situation. This wasn't something he wanted to see. However, the threat of Qin Wentian didn't vanish. Behind him, the experts from the 9 mystical palace condensed the power of lightning into lightning beads, shooting towards him. If he was struck by them, no matter how strong his physique was, he would still be blasted into smithereens. Pung! Qin Wentian stomped heavily on the ground. In the past, he couldn't use any of his techniques like the fiend transformation art. This feeling was extremely unpleasant, but there was nothing he could do about it. That step stomped through the air, and a stifling sword might directly bore down on the body of the expert from the 9 mystical palace, causing his astral novas to tremble uncontrollably. A terrifying sword might suddenly burst out from Qin Wentian's body. The dazzling sword will seem to sweep across the heavens and earth, flattening everything. Numerous sword rays appeared in front of him. He sent out a few palm imprints in succession, and the towering sword intent transformed into sword light. The lightning bead exploded, and the terrifying lightning blasted on the sword screen. The sword screen shattered. Qin Wentian's body flickered and retreated as fast as a gust of wind. So many forces encircling me like this. This D has truly broadened my horizons. Farewell. Qin Wentian said in a clear voice. Instantly the rock flew over. Qin Wentian landed directly on the rock's back. In an instant the rock spread its wings, and the two of them flew off into the distance. Trying to escape? Wang Jian and the rest snorted coldly as they sped away in pursuit. Let's go. Ouyang Guangxing roared. Momentarily, the direction of the battle started to change, as they sped off into the distance. The other experts from the Ouyang aristocrat clan wanted to chase after them, yet those from the great Solar Chun clan stepped out, blocking their path of retreat. Chun Fan coldly laughed. Since the battle has already been left to them, let them settle it themselves. A raging wind gusted by, as more and more experts left the area. Chun Wang, Bai Qing and the rest also started to move away. If they fought here with the experts from both sides watching, it would be extremely difficult to kill their opponents. Since that was the case, they might as well find a new location and fight to their heart's content. Hence, in the airspace above Ginkgo, a magnificent scene appeared. A great rock soared through the air, leading the way. Behind it, there were countless experts chasing after it, all of them exuding a terrifying might. It's the experts from the various transcendent powers. Chan Wang, Wang Jian and even Bai Qing from the Mystic Moon Hall are here. They're fighting again, but who is that person riding on the back of the great rock? Those on the ground all soared into the air, wanting to chase after the great rock. However, the speed of those experts was simply too fast. Unless one was an extremely powerful character, there was no way they could catch up to them. Although Little Rascal transformed into a great rock, it didn't increase its combat prowess. Still, its speed was extremely fast. Flapping its wings, Qin Wentian stood on the back of the great rock with his hands clasped behind his back. A cold smile could be seen on his face, as though there was a hint of playfulness in it. Little Rascal, go to the outskirts of Ginkgo, the further the better. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. After which, he sat down cross-legged on the back of the great rock, completely ignoring the pursuers behind him. Such an action seemed to contain a hint of provocation, causing Wang Jian and the rest to chase after him relentlessly. In the air the raging winds howled. The number of people below grew smaller and smaller as they gradually moved away from the central region of Ginkgo. After a period of time, the city gates of Ginkgo could already be seen. The great rock didn't stop, it directly flew out of Ginkgo and continued speeding forward, crossing the ancient roads and rivers, arriving at a mountain range a few hundred miles away from Ginkgo. That's enough. Qin Wentian spoke in a low voice. Finally, the great rock swooped down, landing in the air above a small hill in the middle of the mountain range. It then turned around, as though it was waiting for the silhouette behind it. A sharp glint of light flickered unceasingly as Wang Jian's silhouette descended. Accompanying him were 2 experts from the Wang clan, all of whom had chased after Wang Jian. After which, the 2 experts from the Chan clan as well as the 3 from the 9 mystical palace arrived. The 2 experts from the Chan clan were also at the 3rd level of Heavenly Dipper. Since Qin Wentian had killed many from the Chan clan, there was no way they would allow Qin Wentian to leave this place alive. Hence, they gave up on the other battlefields and chose to hunt down Qin Wentian. After these experts arrived, they immediately spread out their formation, surrounding Qin Wentian. Wang Jian then spoke, "Whoever kills this young man, the great rock shall belong to him. What do you all think?" Agreed. The experts from the Chun clan nodded. Right. The experts from the 9 mystical palace also nodded in agreement. After which, a towering aura gushed forth from their bodies as they pressed down on Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian inclined his head, staring at the experts in the air as a terrifying light flickered in his eyes. Today, all of you shall remain here. Qin Wentian coldly spoke, his words causing a strange expression to appear on the faces of the crowd. This Qin Wentian was truly arrogant. They had so many experts on their side. How could it be easy for them to kill Qin Wentian? Yet this young man still dared to speak such words, wanting all of them to remain here? Simply boasting shamelessly. If you had fled for a few more days, maybe we wouldn't have pursued you so relentlessly. But since things have already reached this point, how can you still survive? A terrifying sharpness gushed forth from Wang Jian as his astral nova manifested, transforming into an incomparably sharp spear that seemed capable of annihilating everything. The experts from the Chun clan all unleashed their great solar universe energy, causing a resplendent light to flash about. The experts from the 9 mystical palace all had thunderous might radiating from them. Numerous lightning dragons coiled around their bodies, exuding an incomparably ferocious might, only to see them descend together, stepping towards Qin Wentian. Their might bore down on Qin Wentian, not intending to give him any chance. Many of these experts had a cultivation base at the 3rd level of Heavenly Dipper, yet none of them used their astral novas to directly attack. Evidently, they wanted to be the first to kill Qin Wentian. In another space, yellow sand could be seen billowing as the mountain peaks crumbled apart. Tens of thousands of meters away, a huge battle had already erupted. Evidently, this was the result of another wave of experts clashing violently against each other. Qin Wentian clenched his fists as a glint of hatred flickered in his eyes. Abruptly, it was as though a flame was ignited in his body, as though his blood was boiling unceasingly. A halo of light revolved around him, and in his eyes, the burning flames were as cold as ice. Abruptly, a gigantic sword appeared in Qin Wentian's hands. This sword was entirely black in color, and was forged from extremely heavy astral black crystals. It was over 10 meters long and weighed over 100,000 jin. It was unknown how heavy it was. What caused people to be astonished was that such a heavy gigantic sword was actually sharpened. The edge of the sword shimmered with a jet-black luster, as though a single slash from the sword would be able to sever a person into two. The expressions of the experts all stiffened. They had never heard of anyone in Grand Xia using such a gigantic sword before. Naturally, this was also what Qin Wentian wanted to see. His mandate of force and mandate of demons could be infused into the gigantic sword, and no one would be able to tell that he was Qin Wentian. Busy. Qin Wentian's silhouette soared up into the skies. The gigantic sword that weighed over 100,000 jin was casually held in his hands, and a brilliant light flashed as he dashed towards the 3 experts from the 9 mystical palace. The 3 of them coldly snorted. Lightning dragons erupted forth, their entire bodies radiating boundless might of lightning. The 9 mystical palace is about to vanish, yet you guys still dare to cause trouble in Gingku? Qin Wentian's voice was filled with a tyrannical coldness. The gigantic sword in his hand slashed out as a supreme sword might erupted forth from his body. His astral nova enveloped the 3 experts in front of him. Die! Qin Wentian spat out a single word. The gigantic sword sliced through the air, and when the 3 of them felt the supreme might of a king, they simultaneously attacked. Momentarily, a gigantic lightning dragon howled, wanting to devour the gigantic sword. But at the same instant, the gigantic sword hummed unceasingly, as though a terrifying black dragon had appeared. Pung! The void shockwave directly blasted into the body of one of the experts, instantly killing him. Qin Wentian's sword didn't pause at all, sweeping out horizontally. The other 2 experts retreated with explosive speed. Yet the sword humming didn't stop. It was as though they could see a pair of incomparably sharp sword wings sweeping past their throats, causing fresh blood to spurt out from their wounds. In the blink of an eye, the 3 experts had all fallen. The experts from the Chun clan and Wang clan had already made their moves. However, the halo of light radiating from Qin Wentian grew even more resplendent. He turned and slashed out with his sword, completely disregarding all attacks. The gigantic sword transformed into a terrifying black dragon that descended from the skies, tearing apart the experts. The long spear in Wang Jian's hands pierced through the air, transforming into a beam of light, wanting to annihilate the black dragon. The experts from the Chun clan circulated their great solar universe energy to the max. Their gazes were fixed on Qin Wentian, Yet when they saw his eyes they couldn't help but shudder in fear. This young man had intentionally lured them out of Ginkgo. At this moment, they finally understood the meaning behind Qin Wentian's words. Spatial rend. Qin Wentian's gigantic sword slashed outwards, emanating a terrifying King Dao. A formless wave of destructive energy gushed forth, and with a thunderous boom, the two experts from the Chan clan groaned in agony, after which their heart meridians were shattered as they coughed out fresh blood, dying with grievances. Chapter 446. In the blink of an eye, 5 powerful experts fell consecutively. Such a scene caused Wang Jian to feel a chill running down his spine. They had been tricked. This person had intentionally lured them here so that he could kill them. If not, with so many experts present, it would be impossible for Qin Wentian to kill them in front of so many people. However, the Chan clan and the Wang clan would never have thought of such an ending. Among the experts of the Ouyang aristocrat clan, they clearly held a great advantage. This was why they dared to block the path of the Ouyang aristocrat clan, allowing them to settle the battle themselves. That gigantic sword, what divine weapon is that? Wang Jian stared at the gigantic sword in Qin Wentian's hands. The might of that sword was boundless, capable of killing a living person. One must know that Heavenly Dipper sovereigns all had astral novas that were comparable to divine weapons, and were even more proficient in wielding them. Hence, unless Heavenly Dipper sovereigns had an extremely powerful divine weapon, they might as well not use it. For astral novas were much more powerful compared to divine weapons, and could be unleashed freely. However, the divine weapon of the young man surnamed Di seemed to be exceptionally powerful. In truth, Qin Wentian's gigantic sword wasn't some high-tier divine weapon. It was just that he had asked the White Deer Institute to forge a heavy and sharp divine weapon for him, allowing him to unleash his full strength, making others unable to tell how strong he was. Retreat! At this moment Wang Jian roared. Momentarily, the 3 experts from the Wang clan all retreated, only to see Qin Wentian's countenance turning ice-cold. Executing the rock flash, his silhouette transformed into a great rock, instantly appearing in front of one of the experts. The gigantic sword slashed out, shattering the void. This was an innate technique he created himself. This innate technique incorporated the second level of the mandate of force, the void shockwave, into the third stance of the great dream halberd art, shattering the void. After which, he infused it with his tyrannical sword intent, borrowing the sword intent of the Tao of Kings into the gigantic sword. In addition to his own tyrannical strength, it was unknown how powerful the shockwave was. Even a third-level Heavenly Dipper sovereign would have their heart and meridians ruptured if they were struck by it. That person was struck by the void rend as an explosive sound rang out from his body. Despite the terrifying radiance of a divine weapon, he was still killed by the impact. In the blink of an eye, only Wang Jian and the last person were left. Both of them were taken aback. They didn't expect the combat prowess of this person to be so terrifying. The 2 of them hurriedly fled, only to see that Qin Wentian had executed stellar transposition as he used rock flash. His gigantic sword slammed into the body of the last person, instantly killing him. Only Wang Jian was left. You can't get away. A cold voice rang out from behind Wang Jian, causing him to abruptly turn around. With a howl of rage, numerous divine weapons materialized in the air as they all erupted forth, piercing towards Qin Wentian. Boom! As the stellar transposition was executed, Qin Wentian's silhouette appeared directly in front of Wang Jian. A terrifying demonic qi gushed forth from his palms, as an incomparably tyrannical strength blasted the gigantic sword away. Wang Jian's countenance turned pale as he stared at Qin Wentian. Was this one of the ultimate arts of Grand Xia stellar transposition? In the midst of his despair, a layer of armor appeared around Wang Jian's body. His astral novas were frenziedly released as he blasted them forward, the sharpness of the sword sweeping through everything. Wherever the gigantic sword passed by, Wang Jian's astral novas were all blasted apart, slamming into the barrier of light formed by Wang Jian's palms. A crisp cracking sound rang out as the black gigantic sword pierced through the body of Wang Jian, killing him. Little Rascal's silhouette flickered as it collected the interspatial rings of those who died. After which, it returned to the side of Qin Wentian and passed the interspatial ring to Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian patted little rascal on its head as he continued on his way. Over there the battle was extremely intense. When Qin Wentian arrived at the battlefield, Bai Qing and Ouyang Guangxing were currently fighting against Chen Wang. Chu Meng, Fan Lu and the rest were also fighting against their own opponents. Upon seeing the appearance of Qin Wentian, the gazes of the crowd all froze. Earlier, the number of experts pursuing Qin Wentian was the highest. There were at least 7 or 8 of them who were prepared to deal with him first. Yet now he actually returned here. What about those experts who were pursuing him? As they thought of this, the hearts of the crowd abruptly turned cold as they involuntarily shivered. Among those who were pursuing him, there were several third-level Heavenly Dipper sovereigns. Yet Qin Wentian had returned safely to the battlefield. Yet there was no longer any commotion. What did this mean? Although the crowd didn't want to believe it, they still felt a chill down their spines. Only to see Qin Wentian's gaze landing on Chen Wang as he slowly stepped out. Chen Wang's strength was indeed powerful. His flame clone was able to suppress both Bai Qing and Ouyang Guangxing. If it weren't for the fact that Bai Qing and Ouyang Guangxing's attacks were extremely tyrannical, they would have already died under Chen Wang's hands. Not only that, from Chen Wang's aura, it seemed that he wasn't too far away from the 3rd level of Heavenly Dipper. Although Chen Wang was ranked 2nd, his combat prowess was still exceedingly high. With his combat prowess, it wouldn't be a problem for him to kill someone at the 3rd level of Heavenly Dipper. At this moment, Qin Wentian was thinking in his heart that if Chen Wang died, the Great Solar Chung clan would definitely feel a heartache. Chen Wang, be careful. Someone in the crowd noticed Qin Wentian walking towards Chen Wang as he warned. Bzzz, a raging wind gusted by. The person who spoke earlier was in the midst of battle when he suddenly felt the sound of the wind whistling by. He instantly knew that he was in danger, but the experts from the Ouyang aristocrat clan were restricting him, causing him to have no time to react. He could only retaliate with an incomparably gigantic flaming palm imprint. Pong, the black-colored gigantic sword directly slashed apart the palm imprint, shattering it into pieces. The countenance of that person turned pale with fright. He instantly turned his palms and slammed them towards Qin Wentian's black-colored gigantic sword. At the instant the gigantic sword collided with the palm imprint, a terrifying shockwave blasted into his body. With a piercing sound, he spat out fresh blood as all his vitality was destroyed. Behind him, that expert from the Ouyang aristocrat clan blasted out a punch that directly landed on his body, extinguishing the last of his vitality. This person is so powerful. The hearts of the spectators turned even colder. With someone who could kill so many 3rd-level Heavenly Dipper sovereigns interfering in this battle, the situation would definitely be unsalvageable. Gather! Chen Wang roared. After blasting out a palm strike, he retreated. Momentarily, the experts from the Wang clan and the Chen clan all retreated, preparing to gather together. If not, they would be killed one by the young man surnamed D. Chen Wang and the rest gathered together. The violent qi currents they exuded gave off a stifling pressure. Ouyang Guangxing and the rest also rushed forward, unknowingly gathering together as well. They glanced at Qin Wentian only to hear Ouyang Guangxing laughing. Sir, your strength is so strong. Why don't we join forces and annihilate these people? That's exactly what I was thinking. Qin Wentian nodded. Although he wanted to reunite with Ouyang Guangxing and the rest, he knew that it wasn't the right time yet. This time he transformed into Di Tian and appeared in the sights of Granxia. If he didn't turn Granxia upside down, he wouldn't rest until he turned Granxia upside down. Chu Meng, Fan Lu, the two of you control the entire situation. Ouyang Guangxing roared. Fan Lu and Chu Meng nodded in agreement. The two of them flew in 2 different directions as their astral arrows appeared. Now that the two of them had grown stronger and stronger, it was unknown how terrifying the might of their arrows were. They were like golden bolts of lightning, capable of reaping lives in the blink of an eye. Brother D, how about the two of us attack from the front? Ouyang Guangxing stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's combat prowess was tyrannical. If they joined forces with him to attack from the front, Bai Qing would act as the support, Chu Meng and Fan Lu would pursue with their arrows, and the others would assist them in battle. Their combat prowess would definitely be terrifying. Naturally, Qin Wentian nodded, his hands gripping tightly onto the black greatsword. Beside him, Ouyang Quangxing and the rest, the other experts all released their astral novas as they floated in the air, exuding a terrifying might. The experts from both sides didn't dare to move recklessly. At this moment, the experts from both sides were gathered together. If they were to move recklessly, they would instantly become the target of the attacks. Swish, swish, swish. The sound of arrows piercing through the air rang out. Abruptly, a series of astral arrows shot forth. 9 arrows shot out simultaneously. A total of 18 arrows instantly enveloped everyone within. Not only that, after this round of arrows, there were still more arrows shooting out. Chen Wang and the rest immediately waved their hands to block the incoming arrows. Both Qin Wentian and Ouyang Quangxing moved. Ouyang Quangxing's entire body erupted forth with a towering might of lightning fire. Above his head, a gigantic lightning saber materialized, congregating the lightning bolts together, frenziedly compressing together, causing each and every strand of lightning to contain an overwhelming destructive might. Careful, that's the Thunder God Slash. Chen Wang's countenance stiffened. The Thunder God Slash was one of the 9 ultimate arts of Grand Xia, the strongest single-target attack. Even with Ouyang Quangxing's strength, a single slash would be able to drain half of his Yuanfu Dry of astral energy. One could very well imagine the destructive might of this strike. Generally speaking, innate techniques that expended a large amount of astral energy would definitely be extremely powerful. Not all innate techniques would be able to expend a large amount of astral energy. However, the Thunder God Slash was able to condense a terrifying amount of astral energy. The blood in Qin Wentian's body seemed to be seething with rage. Taking a step forward, the might of his astral novas seemed to be able to crush the astral novas of his opponents. The black-colored greatsword in his hand exuded a terrifying might, as though it was prepared to coordinate with Ouyang Quangxing's attack at any moment. Peng! Stellar transposition. Ouyang Quangxing's silhouette directly vanished, reappearing right in front of Chen Wang and the rest. The Thunder God Slash directly slashed out, splitting the void into 2. Several people's astral novas were directly severed, while the others hurriedly retreated. Qin Wentian appeared almost at the same instant. His black-colored greatsword unleashed a spatial laceration as a terrifying sword shockwave swept through the air, lacerating everything in its path. Cool! The destructive power of the 2 of them caused Fan Lu to howl in excitement. Arrows shot out from his body, their speed incomparably fast. One of the astral novas failed to evade in time, and was pierced through the center of his brows. After all, Fan Li's arrows could change direction. Peng! 2 beams of astral light flashed. Chu Meng executed stellar transposition after shooting out his arrows, cleaving towards his opponents. Other than him, Bai Qing also executed stellar transposition, executing the 9 slashes of the Purgatory Saber art. Instantly, fresh blood splattered through the air. Tragic, the explosive power of the collision caused the spectators to have no time to react. It was too tragic. These people were all proficient in the ultimate art of Grand Xia stellar transposition. From the very beginning, the outcome of this battle was already determined. Chen Wang and the 2 from the Chen clan were fine, because they too were proficient in stellar transposition. When the Thunder God slashed towards them, they had already dodged it. However, this undoubtedly weakened the resistance of the other astral novas. The combined might of the Thunder God Slash was instantly disintegrated, and 3 of them were instantly slain while the other 3 were injured. In the ancient kingdom of Grand Xia, the experts from the various transcendent powers were still in a stalemate. But at this moment, an expert from the Chen clan had an extremely unsightly expression on his face. Chen Wang had actually sent out a distress signal. Not good. That expert instantly turned and fled. The Ouyang aristocrat clan and the others couldn't help but to reveal a sharp glint in their eyes when they saw the experts from the Chen clan turning and fleeing. Stop them! A cold voice rang out, instantly turning the situation around. It was the Chen clan's alliance that wanted to send reinforcements, yet the Ouyang aristocrat clan's alliance wanted to intercept them. Such a scene caused the spectators to have strange looks on their faces. What was going on over there? The experts from the Chen clan and Wang Jian should have the advantage, right? Chapter 447. In the ancient kingdom, the situation was reversed. The experts of the Great Solar Qin clan were facing an encirclement, but they didn't hesitate to split up and break through the encirclement. After which, they sped towards the outskirts of Ginkgo. And in the mountain range outside of Ginkgo, the situation was already very clear. Chunwang and the rest retreated step by step. At this moment, the experts on their side were at an absolute disadvantage. Go! Chunwang turned and fled in the direction he came from. The silhouettes of those beside him flickered as Qin Wentian and the rest naturally chased after him with lightning speed. VZ! Astral light flashed as Chunwang directly executed stellar transposition. His silhouette appeared in front of Qin Wentian. This person wielded a black-colored greatsword and was extremely powerful. Earlier, if it wasn't for him, the situation wouldn't have been so one-sided. Before leaving, Chunwang wanted to kill this brat as well. The instant he appeared in front of Qin Wentian, he blasted out a lava-like palm imprint, causing the entire space to be engulfed in lava. Qin Wentian's body was about to be ignited by the will of the mandate. However, how strong was Qin Wentian's perception? The instant Chunwang executed stellar transposition, he had already sensed it. The palm imprint on his left hand turned the color of blood as it blasted forth, containing the power of destruction within. Chunwang's countenance stiffened as astral light erupted forth once more. Because he was afraid of the blood curse imprint, he didn't dare to clash head-on with it. If not, both sides would suffer grievous injuries. But just as his silhouette appeared in another dimension, a whistling sound filled the air as a heaven-piercing sword might enveloped him. That black-colored greatsword was hurled towards Qin Wentian, wanting to cleave him into two. At the same time, Fan Lu and Chu Meng's arrows also descended upon Qin Wentian, aiming to cleave him into two. Chunwang's countenance turned ashen as he executed stellar transposition once more, fleeing in another direction. Leave him to me. Qin Wentian spoke, as he dashed towards the direction of Chunwang. Ouyang Guangxing could sense the confidence in Qin Wentian's voice. He nodded his head, and the group of them continued their pursuit. Chunwang was proficient in the stellar transposition technique, and his combat prowess was also exceedingly high. Ouyang Guangxing had to admit that it was still impossible for him to contend against Chunwang. Even if they continued to hold the absolute advantage, it would be easier said than done if they wanted to kill Chunwang. This young man surnamed Di had actually managed to escape unscathed from the pursuit of so many experts. Those people never appeared again. Perhaps he really could bring about the end of the Chun King. Ouyang Guangxing, Bai Qing and the rest continued their pursuit, while Qin Wentian advanced in the direction of Chunwang. Little Rascal appeared beneath Qin Wentian, and with a flap of its wings a raging wind blew, its speed incomparably fast. Qin Wentian's perception was locked onto Chunwang. Even for the current Chunwang, there was a limit to how far he could travel in an instant using stellar transposition. After all, stellar transposition was only an innate technique that allowed one to increase one's speed. It wasn't true spatial teleportation. It was impossible for him to escape from Qin Wentian's pursuit. However, as the two of them sped away, Chunwang discovered that Qin Wentian was the only one chasing after him. A cold glint of killing intent involuntarily flickered in Chunwang's eyes. Qin Wentian continued advancing, yet his countenance was as calm as ever. There wasn't the slightest hint of panic or nervousness on his face. His curled lips were as sharp as the edge of a blade. Not long after, the two of them were already an unknown distance away from the other group. Chunwang's silhouette landed on top of a small hill, as he turned his head to stare at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian halted as well, only to see Chunwang's calm eyes flickering with a hint of mockery. His hands were clasped behind his back as he stared at Qin Wentian. Who would have thought that someone would actually die from stupidity? From Chunwang's point of view, Qin Wentian chasing after him alone was an act of stupidity and foolishness. At this moment his gaze was filled with unmasked disdain and mockery. The great solar bloodline in his body gushed forth, as a scorching heat akin to magma erupted forth with him as the center. The yellow soil beneath his feet was directly incinerated into dust, evaporating into thin air. One could very well imagine how high the temperature of Chunwang's body was at this moment. At the same instant, two flaming giants manifested from his body. Although Chunwang was arrogant, he wasn't an idiot. Qin Wentian was able to escape unscathed from the pursuit of so many people, and even managed to kill his opponents. His combat prowess was extremely high, But in a one-on-one battle only death awaited him. After I kill you, I will kill all those who came here today, not leaving a single one alive. As the sound of Chun Wang's voice faded, his fourth astral nova appeared. It was in the form of a magma giant, and the magma around it flowed like liquid, as though it could disintegrate at any moment. In addition to his mandate of fire, the mandate of hardening, this fourth astral nova had the ability to transform. Go! Chun Wang pointed his finger at Qin Wentian, and momentarily, the flaming giants all rushed towards Qin Wentian. The magma giant directly blasted out with a palm, as the magma on its body transformed into liquid droplets that shot towards Qin Wentian. Bai Qing and Ouyang Guangxing were both proficient in stellar transposition, hence they were able to keep him occupied. But Chun Wang was confident that killing the person in front of him wouldn't be a problem at all. Qin Wentian's black-colored greatsword swept out, transforming into a screen of swords that blocked the incoming magma. Stepping out, a terrifying sword might gushed forth as his black-colored greatsword slashed out, piercing into the body of the magma giant. However, the magma giant directly melted into liquid, flowing towards his black-colored greatsword, as it continued to lunge towards Qin Wentian. At the same time, the other two flaming giants also blasted out, blasting out with their palms. A cold smile flickered in Qin Wentian's eyes as astral energy abruptly erupted forth. His silhouette vanished from sight as the greatsword in his hand pierced towards Chun Wang's body. Chun Wang's countenance drastically changed as he explosively retreated. A towering great solar radiance gushed forth from his body as the flames of the heavens blazed forth. Go! Qin Wentian's palm slammed out as the greatsword pierced through the air, aiming for Chun Wang. Pung! Stellar transposition. Chun Wang's silhouette vanished from sight. At this moment his heart was filled with shock. How could this be? Qin Wentian had also cultivated stellar transposition? At the instant Chun Wang's silhouette flickered, a blood-colored palm imprint blasted out towards him. Chun Wang's countenance drastically changed as he hurriedly executed stellar transposition once more. However, it was useless. Just as he steadied himself, Qin Wentian appeared once more, using the same blood curse imprint as well, exuding a towering blood-colored might that could instantly turn a person into a pile of bones. Pung pung pung. The two silhouettes unceasingly executed stellar transposition. Finally, Chun Wang felt that the Yuanfu in his body was about to be completely depleted. This time around, he directly teleported to the side of the lava giant and no longer dodged. His great solar universe palm imprint erupted forth with the power to incinerate the mountains and boil the seas, slamming towards the blood-colored palm imprint. Boom! The two palm imprints collided. Chun Wang instantly felt the flesh and blood on his arm corroding away. The corrosive might was extremely tyrannical, there was no way to block it at all. The blood curse imprint was one of the most tyrannical innate techniques in Grand Xia. At the same time, the might of his great solar bloodline gushed into Qin Wentian's arm. However, he could clearly sense an even more terrifying surge of sword might from Qin Wentian's great solar bloodline, howling in rage, wanting to tear him apart. The lava giant transformed into a pool of lava, lunging towards Qin Wentian, wanting to bury him within the lava. However, Qin Wentian's astral light erupted as Qin Wentian once again executed stellar transposition. The sound of a sword keening rang out, and Chun Wang felt a sense of impending doom. Luckily, he was already prepared. With a flick of his fingers, he crushed something in his palm, causing a fiery glow to soar up into the skies, enveloping his body within. The sword light that was about to land on Chun Wang's neck was actually blocked by a screen of flames, emitting a crisp sound. This caused Qin Wentian's countenance to stiffen as he retreated, staring at the terrifying screen of flames that enveloped Chun Wang. Chun Wang had the potential to become the future leader of the great Solar Chun clan. He naturally had a life-saving treasure on him. This treasure was exceedingly precious, and when Chun Wang was in a disadvantageous position in the earlier battles, he only sent a message to his clan members and didn't use it. But now that he was in a life-and-death situation, he had no choice but to use it. Staring at Qin Wentian, a terrifying killing intent gushed forth from Chun Wang. Who are you exactly? Chun Wang stomped the ground, staring at Qin Wentian. This person wasn't only proficient in the blood curse imprint, he had also cultivated stellar transposition. Qin Wentian stared at the fiery glow, only to see him turning around abruptly and riding on the back of the great rock, leaving the area. Chun Wang's eyes flickered as a ball of flame shot up into the skies, after which he dashed out, chasing after Qin Wentian. From afar, an expert from the great Solar Chung clan who had just broken out of the encirclement noticed the fiery glow in the skies. His silhouette flickered as he dashed over. Not long later, Qin Wentian was blocked by a middle-aged man at the 4th level of Heavenly Dipper Sovereign, Chun Wang. Chun Xiao stared at Chun Wang in disbelief. To think that Chun Wang was forced to use his life-saving treasure. Uncle Xiao, this man is proficient in stellar transposition. He has some secrets on him, kill him. Chun Wang spoke coldly. Chun Xiao nodded as he dashed towards Qin Wentian. The great rock abruptly soared up into the skies, chasing after Qin Wentian. Where do you think you're going? Chun Xiao and Chun Wang soared up into the skies as well, unwilling to let Qin Wentian escape. This man was a demon-level talent and had secrets on him. They had to kill him no matter what. The three of them, as well as the great rock, soared into the skies, gradually descending. Clouds and mist permeated the air, blocking the vision of others. However, Chun Xiao and Chun Wang's eyes shone with a fiery light as they stared fixedly at Qin Wentian and the great rock. Boom! From Qin Wentian, a towering might from his bloodline abruptly erupted forth, as a demonic aura that would cause the hearts of people to tremble violently gushed forth. His physique grew taller and taller as an aura of an overlord gushed forth from him. Chun Xiao furrowed his brows. He stared at the screen of light around Chun Wang that was growing weaker and weaker. He couldn't help but remind Chen Wang. Chen Wang, there's something strange about this man. Why don't you leave first? Chun Wang shook his head. In such a situation, Qin Wentian still wanted to flee? He had no way to accept such humiliation. The great rock didn't know how high the heavens were. It continued soaring higher and higher into the skies. The screen of light around Chun Wang grew weaker and weaker, causing Chun Xiao to furrow his brows. Qin Wentian seemed to know that the screen of light around Chun Wang had a time limit, and was intentionally exhausting him. Chun Wang! Chun Xiao called out once more. Chun Wang furrowed his brows, finding it hard to accept. But when he felt the screen of light weakening, he could only stop. Boom! An aura at the 3rd level of Heavenly Dipper gushed forth from the silhouette in the skies. The great rock stopped as Qin Wentian stared downwards, like the sovereign of the skies. The blood in his body seethed, akin to a demon. Chun Wang stared at the silhouette. He felt a sense of déjà vu abruptly. Chun Wang's countenance drastically changed as an expression of disbelief appeared on his face. Such an aura. He had once seen it on the arena platform of the Vermilion Bird Heavenly Fate ranking. Chapter 448. That devilishly handsome silhouette, a great rock, and the 9 ultimate arts of Grand Xia, the blood curse imprint and stellar transposition. Although Qin Wentian wasn't proficient in any of the 9 ultimate arts, now that he had obtained the divine steel, he should be the same as Ouyang Guangxing and the others, proficient in any of the 9 ultimate arts. As he thought of this, Chun Wang inclined his head and stared at the silhouette standing on the back of the great rock. His heart pounded violently as his countenance instantly turned pale. It was him. It had to be him. He didn't die in the Pill Emperor Hall. Now, he had transformed into another person and returned. His bloodline seemed to have grown even stronger, like the sovereign of all demons. The eruption of his bloodline actually allowed him to break through the limits of his cultivation base, exuding the aura of a 3rd level, Heavenly Dipper Sovereign. Thinking of this person's combat prowess, Chun Wang abruptly called out to Chun Xiao. It's Qin Wentian, Uncle Xiao, let's go. Qin Wentian. Upon hearing this name, Chun Xiao's heart trembled. This name was simply too familiar. Over a year ago, which corner of Grand Xia wasn't talking about the top ranker of the Heavenly Fate rankings, Qin Wentian? This person was actually Qin Wentian? A supreme sharpness erupted forth as the king's sword manifested. This was none other than Qin Wentian's astral nova. Pung! Stellar transposition. Qin Wentian vanished from sight with the king's sword in his hand. Chun Zhao's countenance drastically changed as he too executed stellar transposition, turning and fleeing. The two of them transformed into motes of astral light, and finally, the keening of a sword rang out as fresh blood splattered down from the skies. A silhouette whistled past as Qian Shao descended from the skies. This person had a cultivation base at the 4th level of Heavenly Dipper. If he fought against Qin Wentian head-on, he might be able to hold out for some time. However, the first thing he thought of was to flee. Under the effect of stellar transposition, Qin Wentian's tyrannical perception captured every movement of his. His mandate of sword melody erupted forth, severing his life. At the instant Qian Shao fled, Qian Wang had already fled in the opposite direction, yet he was intercepted by the Great Rock. The speed of the Great Rock was exceedingly fast. It actually managed to delay Qian Wang for a few moments. At this moment, Qin Wentian descended from the skies, walking towards Qian Wang with unmasked killing intent in his eyes. Qin Wentian, if you let me go today, I will definitely convince my clan to let the grudges between us be written off. Qian Wang stared at Qin Wentian as he spoke. At this moment, the most important thing to him was to preserve his life. Earlier, when he was defeated in the hands of Qin Wentian, he didn't hesitate to use a life-saving technique. Because of this, in addition to the fact that Qian Shao was at the 4th level of Heavenly Dipper, he chased after Qin Wentian to kill him. Yet, he had never imagined that his opponent would be Qin Wentian. He had been concealing his true strength, and now it was already too late for regrets. If he knew that this person was Qin Wentian, he wouldn't have chased after him to this extent. Sword intent permeated the air. Qin Wentian didn't reply to Qian Wang. Stepping out, a stifling pressure enveloped Qian Wang. Although he had lured Qian Wang and Qian Shao away from the others, he still had to kill them as soon as possible. In this world, anything could happen. Back then, when he ascended the Pill Emperor Hall, who would have thought that he would be able to cleave the Pill Emperor Hall into two with a single strike? Hence, he could be arrogant, but he wouldn't underestimate his opponent. Pung! Astral light erupted as Qian Wang's silhouette abruptly appeared in front of Qin Wentian. The lava giant dashed out, transforming into liquid lava as it lunged towards Qin Wentian. Qian Wang wasn't a benevolent person. He had already prepared himself for the worst when he spoke. Vizi! The wind whistled as Qin Wentian's sword flashed, piercing through Qian Wang's throat. Qian Wang's body stiffened as he clutched his throat with both hands. An expression of unwillingness could be seen in his eyes. He was unwilling. He was Qian Wang, a heaven's chosen of the Qian clan. He was unwilling. He had the potential to become the future leader of the Qian clan. He had already obtained an ancient medallion. He would have the chance to leave Granxia and head to the sacred ground to temper himself. But now the arrogant him was about to die. When he thought back to the past, everything felt like a dream. Ever since he heard of Qin Wentian's name, his life seemed to have changed. It was like a nightmare. He still remembered the first time he met Qin Wentian. It should have been at the Qian clan. From afar, he cast a glance at Qin Wentian, who had entered the Qian clan together with the Ouyang aristocrat clan. Qin Wentian had challenged a few youths from the Qian clan, displaying his extraordinary strength. But at that time he didn't even bother to look at Qin Wentian. Never would he have imagined that the weak-looking young man would become his nightmare. After that, Qin Wentian started to display his brilliance in the heavenly fate rankings, defeating him and claiming the first position. From then on, Qian Wang had to live in the shadow of Qin Wentian, and now he had to live in the shadow of Qin Wentian. Before his death, he suddenly thought of a sentence. How many outstanding characters were there in Granxia, but how many of them could stand at the peak, looking down on all the other mountains? Qian Wang closed his eyes as his body descended from the air. Qin Wentian's silhouette flickered, and with a wave of his hand, Qian Wang's body was swept up into the air. After which, Qin Wentian carried Qian Zhao's body with him as well. Only after that did he land on the back of the great rock and soared up into the clouds, flying towards the horizons. A day later, the news of yesterday's battle shook the entire Ginkgo continent. Ouyang Guangxing and the majority of the experts returned safely to their respective clans. However, the experts from the Qian clan, Hua clan, Wang clan, as well as the 9 mystical palace didn't return. In a battle between transcendent powers, it would still be fine if both sides were in dire straits. But when one side was completely annihilated, the atmosphere was extremely heavy. Before the start of the heavenly fate rankings, it was as though a storm was brewing in the air. Especially in the midst of the great Solar Qian clan, There was an extremely conspicuous character, Chan Wang. The heavens chosen of the great Solar Chun clan, Chan Wang, had disappeared and never returned. It was rumored that before he disappeared, he had sent out a distress signal, after which the members of the Chan clan broke out of the encirclement to search for him, yet they couldn't find him. Not even his corpse was found. Even a fourth-level Heavenly Dipper sovereign Chan Shao, who had gone to search for Chan Wang, had never returned. Although Chan Wang's radiance was suppressed by Hua Taishu and Qin Wentian, he was still the second ranker of the Heavenly Fate rankings for 2 consecutive years. There was no need to doubt that he was a Heaven's chosen, and he was one of the candidates to become the future leader of the Great Solar Chan clan. His disappearance, one could very well imagine what kind of storm it would create. Right now, the Ouyang aristocrat clan and the other transcendent powers were all locked in their doors, and were even sending experts from their own clans to deal with the situation. Most probably, the Great Solar Chan clan was already discussing their next move. Within the Great Solar Chan clan, in a majestic great hall, several silhouettes were gathered. The person in the lead had a dignified countenance, yet a sinister look could be seen in his eyes. Has the investigation been completed? That person asked. Not yet, we're currently keeping an eye on those who participated in the battle, and are preparing to hunt them down at any moment. Chun Fan replied. The person in the lead nodded his head lightly. Chun Wang had already died. There was no doubt about this point. However, they had to find out who the culprit was. Since Chun Wang has already died, prepare to select a new successor to be nurtured. Also, the medallion on Chun Wang's body must be recovered at all costs. Yes. Everyone nodded their heads. They understood the importance of the medallion on Chun Wang's body. They absolutely couldn't lose it. Who would have thought that such a thing would happen so soon after the medallion was bestowed to Chun Wang? Seems like they were after the medallion. If not, who would be able to kill Chun Wang and Chan Shao? Someone stated, his words causing many to nod their heads in agreement. Maybe this conflict was a plot against the medallion. If that was the case, things would be even more troublesome. First, prepare to control those who participated in the battle yesterday. We'll know after we interrogate a few more people. If there's really someone who is after the medallion, we have to find out which power it is. This medallion isn't something they can swallow for themselves. The person in the lead commanded. The Ouyang aristocrat clan, Mystic Moon sect, Zhang clan, as well as the other transcendent powers, had been in seclusion for the past few days. They had never imagined that Chun Wang would die. Not only that, the Chun clan seemed to have mobilized a terrifying force to monitor their movements. It was as though they were truly enraged. At this moment they had to be extremely careful. However, the Chun clan didn't dare to launch an all-out war so easily. They were very clear on how terrifying the consequences would be if they started a war. No one dared to be careless. To Qin Wentian, he still didn't know what happened in Ginkgo. At this moment, he was arranging the resources he obtained from the interspatial ring. Naturally, the majority of them were Yuan meteor stones. Stellar martial cultivators needed to accumulate Yuan meteor stones for their cultivation. The higher their cultivation base, the more Yuan meteor stones they would need. Yesterday, after killing so many Heavenly Dipper sovereigns, the amount of Yuan meteor stones he obtained had greatly surprised him. At the same time, there were also many other innate techniques and treasures. However, to him there weren't many that he could use. At this moment, an ancient medallion appeared in Qin Wentian's hands. This medallion emanated an extremely mysterious aura, as though it was extraordinary. This medallion was obtained from Chan Wang. Qin Wentian didn't know what use it had, but he knew that Chan Wang had placed the medallion in the best location in his interspatial ring. From this, one could tell how important this medallion was to Chan Wang. Qin Wentian's eyes flickered. He was no longer a greenhorn, and had experienced many things over the years. He could clearly sense how extraordinary this medallion was. Attempting to probe the medallion with his consciousness, Qin Wentian discovered that he couldn't do so at all. There was a mysterious energy blocking his consciousness from entering the medallion. Since Chun Wang placed so much importance on this medallion, I should capture an expert from the Chun clan and interrogate him. Qin Wentian kept the medallion and stood up. His silhouette flickered as he once again sped towards Ginkgo. The lines on his face wriggled as Little Rascal transformed into a demonic lion. making it less conspicuous. After yesterday's battle, he still didn't know what the situation was like in Ginku. He naturally had to be more careful. Chapter 449. In the Ginka continent, the residence of the mystic moon sect was enveloped by an oppressive aura. In a certain courtyard, several experts were gathered there. "What's the situation outside?" a middle-aged woman asked. A voice replied, "The Chun clan has already surrounded this area, and they're gathering a terrifying amount of strength. I'm afraid they're here to kill us." "Master, is the Chun clan really going to initiate a war just for a single Chun Wang?" that woman asked. In the Grand Xia Empire, the various transcendent powers were constantly in conflict. Especially a few days ago, a great war had occurred, but a true war had never occurred before. A war between sects was a war that wouldn't rest until one side was annihilated. Nobody dared to initiate a war so casually. Even if one side had the advantage, they wouldn't dare to do so. For example, although the Great Solar Chin clan was much stronger than the Mystic Moon sect, the moment they initiated a war, the Mystic Moon sect would definitely retaliate. At that time, the experts of the Mystic Moon sect would infiltrate the Grand Xia Empire and hunt down the members of the Great Solar Chun clan. Unless the Great Solar Chun clan had the confidence to annihilate the Mystic Moon sect cleanly in one go. However, transcendent powers all had celestial phenomenon ascendants guarding them. How could it be so easy to annihilate them all? And if they failed to do so, the revenge of the ascendants would be extremely terrifying. Hence, although the conflict between the Ouyang aristocrat clan, Chang clan, Hua clan and the Mystic Moon sect was extremely intense, there was still some degree of restraint. For example, yesterday, when the transcendent powers fought, they only allowed 3rd and 4th level Heavenly Dipper sovereigns to fight. The stronger ones didn't interfere at the start because they didn't want a war to break out. As for Chun Wang's pleas for help, and even his death, this was something that no one had expected. After all, the chosen of a sect or clan would all have some life-saving methods. Even if they were facing experts at the same level or two higher than them, they wouldn't die. However, Chun Wang had indeed died. And now, the Great Solar Chun clan was prepared to pay any price to exact revenge. I'm surprised as well. Bai Qing, what happened yesterday? Who was the one who killed Chun Wang? The woman in the lead stared at Bai Qing as she asked. Bai Qing shook her head. I also don't know how Chun Wang died. I only know that the young man surnamed D went to hunt him down. Although the strength of that young man surnamed D isn't bad, he's still only at the 2nd level of Heavenly Dipper. Even if his combat prowess is strong enough to defeat Chun Wang, it's still impossible for him to kill Chun Wang. Not only that, Chan Xiao, who was at the 4th level of Heavenly Dipper, has already died. This isn't something he can accomplish. I'm afraid there's more to it than meets the eye. The lady in the lead spoke in a low voice. In truth, the Great Solar Chin clan also had the same thoughts, but no one knew the exact situation. Hence, they had no choice but to act against the Mystic Moon sect. After all, the relationship between the Ouyang aristocrat clan and the Jiang clan was extremely close. It would be more difficult to make a move against them. Did you ask for reinforcements? The leader of the group asked again. The Ouyang aristocrat clan should already know about the situation here. Now that we have a common enemy, I'm sure the Ouyang aristocrat clan would understand. The person below slowly spoke. However, as he spoke, a boundless might gushed forth from the outside world. After that, a voice rang out. Mystic Moon sect, hand over those who participated in the battle yesterday. If not, all of you shall be killed without mercy. This voice was extremely cold, filled with a terrifying killing intent, causing the lady in the lead to furrow her brows. Those who are at the 3rd level of Heavenly Dipper and below, flee this place on your own. You would only be courting death if you participate in the battle. Those who are at the 4th level of Heavenly Dipper and above, follow me and fight. The lady in the lead was extremely decisive, directly issuing the command. Master, this matter started because of me. I won't leave. Bai Qing shook her head. Since things have already reached this point, there's no need to talk about who was at fault. To my Mystic Moon sect, preserving our strength and growing stronger in the future is the most important thing. Especially now that the Grand Xia Empire is in a state of chaos. A war between sects could erupt at any moment. Qing as a candidate to become the future leader of the Mystic Moon sect, Even if you can participate in the battle, you have no choice but to leave. The eyes of the lady in the lead were immeasurably deep. She gently stroked Bai Qing's long hair as her tone was filled with determination, causing Bai Qing's eyes to turn red. She stared at her. Master, don't say any more. If you continue to be so stubborn, you would be wasting my years of nurturing you. Don't call me master anymore. The lady berated, causing Bai Qing's words to come to an abrupt halt. When she thought of how selfless her master had been to her all these years, treating her like her own daughter, Bai Qing felt an extreme pain in her heart. She knelt on the ground and kowtowed thrice to her master, causing the earth to tremble. After which she turned and sped away, her silhouette gradually transforming into the netherworld, incomparably illusory. The battle outside had already erupted. The experts of the Great Solar Chung clan had already fought their way in. Staring at Bai Qing's departing silhouette, someone asked, "Do you want to protect Bai Qing as she breaks out of the encirclement?" No need. Qing'er has the Dark Night Astral Soul and the Netherworld Astral Soul. It won't be easy to capture her if she stealthily escapes. If you guys follow her, it would only backfire. Let's go meet the experts of the Great Solar Chung clan. The woman spoke. After that, she stepped out and instantly appeared in the air outside. She stared at a group of figures standing in the air. Below them, a tyrannical battle was taking place. The experts of the Chan clan had slaughtered their way into the Mystic Yin sect. Does the Great Solar Chung clan want to start an all-out war with the Mystic Moon sect? Bai Qing's master's voice rang out as she stared at the experts of the Great Solar Chung clan. Her heart pounded. She knew that today would be the end for the Mystic Moon sect. Seems like coming to Ginkgo was a mistake. But of course, before this, nobody would have thought that such a situation would occur. Hand over the participants of the battle yesterday, and I will pretend that nothing has happened. That expert from the Great Solar Chung clan coldly spoke. Bai Qing's master coldly snorted. If they handed over the participants of the Mystic Moon sect to their deaths, how could their Mystic Moon sect still have a foothold in Granxia? From now on, their name would be cursed for eternity. The Great Solar Chung clan didn't hesitate to start a war between sects just to capture the participants. I'm afraid that you guys have already bestowed the sacred royal medallion to Chan Wang. Bai Qing's master faintly spoke. Instantly, the countenances of those beside her all froze as their eyes gleamed with sharpness. The eyes of the expert from the Great Solar Chan clan also turned sharp, akin to a sharp blade piercing towards the other party. Seems like my conjecture was right. The Great Solar Chung clan would only be bestowed 3 sacred royal medallions every 100 years. Seems like Chan Wang has already obtained one of the 3 medallions. But now, Chan Wang has disappeared. And the sacred royal medallion has also been lost. Bai Qing's master coldly spoke. The expert from the Great Solar Chung clan berated. Shut up. Since you know about this, it seems like the Mystic Moon sect is the prime suspect. If you don't surrender now, we will kill all of you without mercy. Listen to my command. There's no need to fight to the death. Break out of the encirclement and return to the spirit continent. Bai Qing's master commanded. Momentarily, the experts from the Mystic Moon sect all started to break out of the encirclement, no longer fighting to the death. Bai Qing from the Mystic Moon sect must be captured. The expert from the Great Solar Chung clan commanded. Since Chan Wang had fallen, the Mystic Moon sect had lost a heaven chosen. In the direction where Bai Qing broke out of the encirclement, the sky darkened as night fell. A ghostly silhouette walked through the darkness, as though he had transformed into a shadow, blending into the darkness. Bang! A few experts from the Great Solar Chung clan appeared in the darkness. Towering flames erupted from their bodies as they unleashed their Great Solar Universe art, incinerating the mountains and boiling the seas. Their palms slammed out in a frenzy, wanting to force Bai Qing to act. A cold wind blew gently as a sinister intent abruptly gushed forth. After which, a devilish saber manifested in the darkness of the night, instantly killing an expert from the Chan clan. However, Bai Qing's silhouette also appeared as she madly fled into the distance. You won't be able to escape. In the air, a blazing figure soared through the air. The light of the Great Solar Universe art enveloped Bai Qing, illuminating her body. Pong pong pong. Using stellar transposition, Bai Qing's silhouette flickered as she reappeared a great distance away. When she and Qin Wentian were trapped in the ancient kingdom of Granxia, they had naturally cultivated stellar transposition. Humph, how could the experts from the Great Solar Chung clan spare her? They similarly used stellar transposition to chase after her, frenziedly fleeing through the streets of Ginkgo. In another location in Ginkgo, the Ouyang aristocrat clan and Jiang clan had indeed planned to act to aid the Mystic Moon sect. Now that the Great Solar Chung clan had already shed all pretense of cordiality and wanted to initiate a war, they had to form an alliance. However, on their way to aid the Great Solar Chung clan, they were obstructed by the Hua clan and Wang clan. Although they didn't want to initiate a war like the Great Solar Chung clan, they were still able to obstruct the Ouyang aristocrat clan for a period of time. Qin Wentian didn't expect that killing Chen Wang and obtaining the ancient medallion would result in such a calamity. He once again returned to Ginkgo and entered an inn to enjoy some wine. As he did so, he heard the whispers of the people around him. How tragic, I didn't expect the Great Solar Chung clan to be so ruthless. But since they've already decided to initiate a war, the Great Solar Chung clan has already thrown caution to the wind. What happened to the Mystic Moon sect? A table full of people murmured, their words causing Qin Wentian's entire body to stiffen. Did something happen to the Mystic Moon sect? I heard that Bai Qing actually managed to escape from the encirclement of the Great Solar Chung clan. However, she was injured in the process. Right now the entire Ginkgo is searching for her. But from what I can see, I'm afraid that Bai Qing will walk right into the trap. Outside the Venerate Heaven's Gate, Bai Qing's master's corpse was hung upside down. Bai Qing had to go and collect the corpse herself. It would be difficult for her not to return. These people were all mumbling, and as the sound of their voices faded, Qin Wentian only felt his entire body turning cold. He abruptly turned his gaze over, staring at the person who spoke. An incomparably cold aura abruptly enveloped him, causing the countenance of the person who spoke to change drastically. "Senior, we spoke nonsense, please forgive us." They all thought that this person was an expert from the Great Solar Chung clan who was angered by their words. What happened to those from the Mystic Moon sect? Qin Wentian asked. The few of them exchanged glances as their eyes flickered. It seemed like Qin Wentian wasn't someone from the Great Solar Chung clan. Early this morning, the Great Solar Chung clan surrounded the Mystic Moon sect, killing them all without mercy. Although the Mystic Moon sect tried their best to break out of the encirclement, only a few managed to escape. Bai Qing's master was also killed, and her corpse was hung upside down outside the Venerate Heaven's Gate. Bai Qing had to collect the corpse herself. One of them trembled as he spoke, especially when they felt the pressure of Qin Wentian's might enveloping them. It caused them to be even more cautious. Just because of the death of Chen Wang, the Great Solar Chung clan went all out, even going so far as to humiliate the Mystic Moon sect to lure Bai Qing back. Qin Wentian's entire body turned ice cold, not only for Chen Wang but also because of an ancient medallion on him. I heard that it's called the Sacred Royal Medallion. Those people respectfully replied, causing Qin Wentian's heart to tremble. The Sacred Royal Medallion, it must be that ancient medallion. Gotcha. Qin Wentian's fists were tightly clenched as his body trembled. When he thought of the miserable state Bai Qing's master was in, an intense feeling of guilt surfaced in his heart. This matter had arisen because of him. Although he didn't expect that killing Chen Wang would cause such an intense reaction from the Great Solar Chung clan, it was because of his actions that the Mystic Moon sect ended up in such a miserable state. Not only that, he even humiliated Bai Qing's master. His heart was filled with unbearable pain. Bai Qing's master must have doted on her dearly. Now that she had already died, she still had to endure the humiliation of the Great Solar Chung clan. Great Solar Chung clan. Qin Wentian's eyes were scarlet red. The coldness radiating from him was so intense that the people who spoke earlier were forced to kneel on the ground. At this moment, the look in Qin Wentian's eyes was too terrifying. He could kill them all in a moment of rage. Busy. But at this moment, Qin Wentian's silhouette directly dashed out of the inn. Only then did those people draw in a deep breath, their bodies still trembling as they silently guessed at the identity of that person. Chapter 450. Qin Wentian's figure flashed through Ginkgo City, and before long, he arrived at the Imperial Heaven Gate. Right now, experts from the Great Solar Chen clan were all gathered here. On top of the Imperial Heaven's Gate pillar, an ice-cold corpse could be seen hanging upside down. The scorching sun rays cascaded downwards, scorching the corpse. In front of the corpse there was an ancient path. There was no one on this path, as if it was waiting for someone to walk over and walk right into the trap. When Qin Wentian saw the exposed corpse, a terrible flame seemed to be burning in his body. The Chun family was too cold-blooded. Even if it was a life-and-death grudge, there was no need for such humiliation. There were many massacres in Granxia every day, but since death was the end of it all, this was simply infuriating. For that ancient medallion, the sacred emperor medallion? Qin Wentian looked at the corpse with a strong sense of guilt. Standing in the crowd in the distance, he clenched his fists and bowed slightly to the dead body. Senior, this junior's actions have implicated the mystic Yin Palace. However, the Chun family will repay this debt with blood. Qin Wentian's heart turned cold. He turned around and left resolutely. The coldness in his eyes was terrifying. Now he must stop Qing from coming here. The Chun clan's actions alarmed all the major powers in Ginkgo. But when they heard that the sacred royal medallion had been lost, they faintly understood what was going on. No wonder the Chun clan was so furious. Not only had Chan Wang died, but the sacred royal medallion had also been bestowed upon Chan Wang, and had been lost along with his death. Now the Chun clan didn't mind offending the mystic Yin Hall to the death, just to retrieve the sacred royal medallion. When the incident occurred in Ginkgo, the mystic moon palace in the distant Serenity Prefecture also learned about it. Furious, the experts of the mystic moon palace had already set off for Ginkgo. The Chun clan had gone too far. This was no longer just a war between sects, but a battle to the death. In this matter, the great Solar Chun clan had gone too far. Even if the corpses of the Dark Yin Palace were to fill up Ginkgo, they would not tolerate such a cruel insult. Qin Wentian went to look for Bai Qing, but it was already too late. Knowing that the corpse of her master, whom she owed a mountain of gratitude to, was hung upside down outside the Venerate Heaven's Gate, based on Bai Qing's personality, how could she endure such a thing? Although Bai Qing was known as the Netherworld Slaughter God, that was only when she faced her enemies. Right now her personality was as cold as ice, and her heart was as cold as ice. This was especially so when the news of Qin Wentian's death circulated out from the Pill Emperor Hall. Her heart was like dead ashes, and she only wanted revenge. She could become enemies with Grand Xia, but when the people closest to her met with such misfortune, her heart was filled with incomparable pain. On the ancient pathway outside the Venerate Heaven's Gate, Bai Qing had already arrived. Naturally, she wasn't alone. Ouyang Quangxing and the rest were accompanying her. Although the Ouyang aristocrat clan didn't want Ouyang Quangxing to participate in this matter, they were clear that once the sacred royal medallion was involved, the great Solar Chun clan would do anything to stop them. They didn't choose the Ouyang aristocrat clan to act because it was easier to deal with the Mystic Moon sect. If not, in the territory of Ginkgo, the great Solar Chun clan would have no problems dealing with the Ouyang aristocrat clan. However, the Ouyang aristocrat clan had no way to stop the stubborn Ouyang Quangxing. He was determined to follow Bai Qing here, and no one could stop him. The Ouyang aristocrat clan and Jiang clan could only accompany him to the Venerate Heaven's Gate. The ancient pathway outside the Venerate Heaven's Gate was enveloped by an oppressive aura. Bai Qing continued forward, and no one blocked her path until she arrived in front of her master's corpse. Bai Qing knelt on the ground, kowtowing to her master as tears flowed unceasingly from her eyes. Master, disciple is unfilial and has failed to live up to your expectations, causing you to sacrifice yourself for this disciple. But since the great Solar Chun clan has treated you so badly, disciple has no choice but to come. Bai Qing stared at the silhouette in the air as she knelt there. She naturally knew that her master didn't wish for her to come here, but since the great Solar Chun clan had done so much, if she didn't come, how could she be qualified to be their disciple? Even if she knew the path ahead was a path of death, she had to come. Standing up, Bai Qing's silhouette flickered as she flew towards the corpse, bringing her master down. However, at the same instant she stepped down, a silhouette appeared beside her master. The might of this step was akin to the might of a terrifying flame, blasting onto Bai Qing, causing her to groan in misery. The silhouette in the air was none other than Chun Fan. Above his head, a blazing sun could be seen, cascading downwards, exuding a terrifying might. Who was the one who killed Chen Wang? Chun Fan's voice was cold as he stared down at Bai Qing. Bai Qing stared at Chun Fan, devil might billowed in the air. She continued stepping up as a devil's saber appeared in her hands, causing the heavens and earth to rumble. Bai Qing's entire body turned ice cold. The entire space seemed to have transformed into night. Her silhouette flickered as she instantly vanished, slashing out with her saber. Chun Fan coldly snorted as he stomped down once more. Boundless blazing sun rays cascaded down from the skies, blinding the eyes of those who saw it. When Bai Qing appeared in front of him, she felt as though her body was about to be incinerated. Chun Fan stabbed out with a single finger as the boundless blazing sun rays converged towards Bai Qing. Chi! The devil's saber shattered as Chun Fan's palm landed on Bai Qing, causing her to cough out blood. He then coldly asked, "Who was the one who killed Chen Wang?" Ouyang Guangxing and the rest flickered as they appeared beside Bai Qing. Zhang Ting hugged Bai Qing as they stared at Chun Fan, their countenances ice cold. "Let me tell you, during the battle outside the Ginka continent, many from your Chang clan pursued that young man surnamed Di, but in the end they all died in his hands. That young man then returned to deal with Chen Wang, but Chen Wang was no match for him and was forced to flee. As for how he died, no one knows." Fan Li's countenance was ice cold as he continued, "So the great Solar Chang clan is so weak. Their disciples were useless and were killed by others, yet they still resorted to such methods to take revenge. How admirable! That young man surnamed Di has a cultivation base at the second level of Heavenly Dipper. How could Chen Wang be defeated by him?" Chun Fan didn't believe Fan Li's words. Even if Chen Wang was defeated, it was impossible for him to die. "That's the truth. Since you don't believe me, what's the point of asking?" Ouyang Guangxing coldly replied. In that case I shall leave Bai Qing behind. She shall replace her master and hang here until someone reveals the truth, or until the sacred royal medallion appears again." Chun Fan's voice was cold. After which, with a wave of his hand, a violent wave of flames landed on the corpse of Bai Qing's master. Instantly, the corpse of Bai Qing's master was set ablaze, and very quickly, the corpse was turned into ashes. "Pooh!" Bai Qing coughed out a mouthful of blood upon seeing this scene. Her countenance paled. "Master!" Tears flowed down her face. Bai Qing thought of all the things her master had done for her. Back then she left Chu alone and roamed the lands of Grand Xia, encountering countless dangers. Coincidentally, she managed to obtain the chaotic art of the heavenly devil, causing her body to explode from the brink of chi deviation. Not only that, she also met with evil people who wanted to humiliate her. At that moment, it was her master who saved her life and brought her into the Mystic Moon sect to cultivate. After entering the Mystic Moon sect, her master guided her wholeheartedly. Every time her body couldn't withstand the pressure, her master would unclog the meridians in her body. At the same time, she also went to the demonic beast mountain range to gather precious ancient medicinal herbs for her, allowing her to bathe in medicinal herbs daily, nourishing her body and activating her meridians. Gradually, her cultivation of the art of the heavenly devil reached a certain level, allowing her to control it with ease. Back then, after knowing what her father did to Qin Wentian, Bai Qing's heart was like dead ashes, her heart cold. After experiencing so much treachery in the hearts of others, her master didn't mind at all, treating her like her own daughter and doting on her. To Bai Qing, her master's position in her heart made up for the motherly love she lacked. In fact, her master's love even surpassed that of her father's. But now, because of her, her master died. His corpse hung upside down, suffering such humiliation. And now, not even his bones remained, as he was incinerated into ashes. Bai Qing's body landed on the ground. She lowered her head and knelt on the ground as tears flowed unceasingly down her face. "Disciple is unfilial." Bai Qing kowtowed, as though her heart was about to shatter. When she lifted her gaze, her long black hair fluttered in the wind as devil might towered up into the sky. The entire sky seemed to have darkened, transforming into night. She stood up, staring at Chun Fan in the air as a terrifying devilish intent flashed in her eyes. Her long black hair fluttered in the wind, exuding a cold aura. causing the spectators to be able to clearly feel the pain Bai Qing was feeling right now. From afar, Qin Wentian was madly sprinting over, only to see the back of Bai Qing's figure. That silhouette exuded boundless desolation. At this moment he could naturally understand Bai Qing's feelings. Most probably it was the same feeling he had back then in the Pill Emperor Hall. Ultimately it was still too late. "Qinger, I've let you down." Qin Wentian sighed in his heart as the guilt and self-blame in his heart grew even more intense. Although he hadn't expected all of this to happen, it was all because of him that he had killed Chen Wang. That incident back then was witnessed by everyone in Ginkgo. It was because of the grudge between both parties that resulted in the clash outside Ginkgo. Chen Wang died, but nobody knows who the culprit was. If the Great Solar Chen clan thinks that we were the culprit, we can just accept it. Feel free to come and take our lives. But using such a method to humiliate a senior from the Mystic Moon sect, I, Ouyang Quangsheng, swear that as long as I'm still alive, the Ouyang aristocrat clan will forever be enemies with the Great Solar Chen clan. Ouyang Quangsheng stared at Chen Fan, his voice ice-cold. In that case, you will also remain in Ginkgo. Chen Fan swept his gaze over to Ouyang Quangsheng, his eyes gleaming with killing intent. No one can obstruct the Great Solar Chen clan. If the sacred royal medallion doesn't appear, this matter won't end here. Chen Fan coldly stated. That battle that day, who knows if you were the ones who intentionally lured our people over. Since the Mystic Moon sect participated in it, even death cannot wipe out their crimes. An expert from the Wang clan stood out. That day, the Wang clan had also suffered heavy losses. Just a few of your people died and you are already so ruthless. But what about those of my generation who died? Another person stepped out. This person stared at Bai Qing as he stated, "We have to capture this woman. Only then will we be able to understand what happened that day." Ouyang Quangsheng's gaze swept over to the person who spoke. This person appeared to be around 30 years of age, but Ouyang Quangsheng knew that this person was already quite old. He was none other than an outstanding character from the Shao faction of the Nine Mystical Palace, Shao Han. The Nine Mystical Palace actually dared to participate in this matter? Do you think that just because you have the Great Solar Chen clan, you have the qualifications to speak to us on equal terms? The Nine Mystical Palace will definitely regret this. Ouyang Quangsheng stared at Shao Han. The Nine Mystical Palace was ranked last among the 36 transcendent powers. If it wasn't for the fact that they had a celestial phenomenon ascendant who was about to die of old age, they would have long since been removed from the transcendent powers. Let's not talk so far into the future. The matter today has yet to be concluded. Chen Fan coldly stated. The experts from the various transcendent powers all gathered together to suppress Bai Qing, who was in front of them. Chapter 451. Bai Qing's devil might towered up into the sky as she rushed towards Chen Fan. Even if she wasn't a match for him, she had to fight to the death. You overestimate yourself. Chen Fan's countenance was as cold as ice. His blazing sun astral nova radiated a terrifying heat as beams of light shot downwards, burning Bai Qing's body. It was impossible for Ouyang Quangsheng and the rest to sit back and do nothing. All of them soared up into the air, and those from the Ouyang aristocrat clan behind him also made their moves. In another direction, the figure of the Chen family who had been silent all this while flashed. In the blink of an eye a huge battle broke out. Terrifying air currents danced wildly in the air. It was just that the current Chen clan was no longer the Chen clan of the past few times. Right now the Chen clan had gathered a terrifying lineup. In addition, the Mystic Moon Hall's experts who had come to Ginkgo had all died. Clearly, the Chen clan had the advantage in this battle. After all, this place was Ginkgo, the territory of the Chen clan. Even if the Chen clan didn't send out their celestial phenomenon ascendants, they would still have an absolute advantage. Not only that, there were still the Hua clan, Wang clan, and Nine Mystical Palace standing on the side of the Chen clan. Ouyang Quangsheng is truly someone who values friendship. I heard that Bai Qing doesn't have much of a relationship with him. She's merely the younger sister of his brother, Qin Wentian. But now the Ouyang aristocrat clan has been implicated as well. The hearts of the spectators mused. Right now, the Great Solar Chen clan was willing to pay any price to retrieve the sacred royal medallion. The Ouyang aristocrat clan choosing this timing to clash with the great Solar Chung clan wasn't a wise choice. Chun Fan suppressed Bai Qing and Ouyang Quangxing, swiftly injuring Bai Qing. The disparity between their cultivation levels was simply too great. Chun Fan was originally the second ranker of the Heavenly Fate rankings 9 years ago. How could Bai Qing and the rest be his opponents? Chun Fan's cultivation base was at the 5th level of Heavenly Dipper. He definitely wasn't inferior to Hua Taishu, who was at the 4th level. However, just as the two sides were fighting, a piece of paper suddenly flew over from the sky. Behind it was a set of clothes that fluttered in the wind as it flew towards the people from the Chun clan. When Chun Fan saw this, a terrifying light suddenly burst out from his eyes. He pressed his palm down, and in an instant, the void was enveloped by the scorching sun. At the same time, the cultivators of the Chun clan also put aside their battles and flashed towards the floating object. Chun Fan took the book with one hand and waved his hand to roll up his clothes. It's King Chen's robe. Chun Fan's expression was extremely sharp as he glanced around. Apparently, the person who killed Chun Wang had been nearby. The other experts of the Chun clan also stepped forward, as if they wanted to completely seal off the surrounding space. However, they couldn't see anything at all. It was as if the robe and the paper book had floated over from an extremely distant place. Chun Fan, paper book. The expert from the Chun family came to Chun Fan's side and asked. Chun Fan looked at the page of the book and saw a line of words carved on it. In the Heavenly Fate ranking battle, the strongest will gather, the sacred royal medallion will appear. The words written on the paper were extremely clear, indicating that during the ranking battle, the sacred royal medallion would appear. It seemed that this was indeed not the work of the Darkeen Palace. However, the Chun clan had never thought that it was the Darkeen Palace. They only wanted to find out the truth no matter the cost. It seems that everything we did was correct, said Chun Fan. His words caused the eyes of the members of the Chun clan to flicker as they looked at him. Right? This matter wasn't the work of the Mystic Moon sect. It wasn't appropriate for them to form such a grudge. But as they thought about it, their eyes gleamed with sharpness as they turned and stared at Bai Qing. These people were all people who had lived for a very long period of time. Their knowledge and experience were extraordinary, and they were all extremely intelligent people. Since the other party had stolen the sacred royal medallion, why would he send out a paper book at this moment, letting everyone know that the medallion was in his hands? In order to cause people to misunderstand, he could completely disappear without a trace, and nobody would know who he was. There was only one possibility for this person to do this. The actions of the Chun clan had caused the other party to feel trepidation. In that case, it must be Bai Qing. The other party was worried that they would harm Bai Qing. Hence he intentionally revealed the robe of King Chun, letting the Chun clan know that the sacred royal medallion was in his hands and had nothing to do with Bai Qing. I didn't expect you to be so powerful. The person who killed Chun Wang and stole the medallion was actually willing to reveal himself for you. In that case, all the more reason for us to capture you. Chun Fan stared at Bai Qing as he spoke, his words causing bewilderment in the hearts of the crowd, especially Ouyang Quangxing and the rest. The person who killed Chun Wang was willing to reveal himself for Bai Qing? Who exactly was it that killed Chun Wang and stole the sacred royal medallion? He had also heard of the sacred royal medallion before. If one obtained it, the first thing they would do would be to leave Ginkgo. But since he was willing to reveal himself for the sake of Bai Qing, one could tell that their relationship was definitely not ordinary. In that case, the Chun clan's massacre of the Mystic Moon sect has no evidence at all. Chun Wang and the sacred royal medallion have nothing to do with the Mystic Moon sect or Bai Qing. Fan Li's voice was ice cold, his words causing Chun Fan to snort coldly. So what of it? If you're right, then you're right. If Bai Qing stays behind, I will allow you all to leave. If you continue to cause trouble, don't blame the Chun clan for killing you all. Ouyang Quangxing still stood there, his countenance cold. At this moment, another paper book floated over from afar. Chun Fan's silhouette flickered as he sped towards the end of the paper book. While he was speaking, his perception was constantly scanning the area, and as soon as the paper book appeared, his silhouette instantly vanished from sight. But very quickly, Chun Fan returned with a sinister expression on his face. Seems like our conjecture was right. The person who stole the medallion must be extremely powerful. If it wasn't so, how could the other party be able to deliver the paper book right under their noses? The expert from the Chan clan was currently reading the contents of the paper book. After he finished reading, he passed it to Chun Fan. Chun Fan swept his gaze over it as he stated in a low voice, "If you dare to touch a single strand of Bai Qing's hair, the sacred royal medallion will never appear again." Chun Fan clenched his fist, instantly incinerating the paper book into ashes. His eyes were ice cold as he stared at Bai Qing. "I will wait until the day of the ranking battle. If you don't appear on that day, I will definitely make her suffer the cruelest humiliation in this world." Chun Fan's voice rumbled, echoing out in all directions. He believed that since the other party could transmit the paper book, they should be able to hear his words as well. To them, Bai Qing wasn't that important. Right now, their goal was the sacred royal medallion. Every 100 years, only 3 sacred royal medallions would be bestowed upon the great solar Chang clan. In these 100 years, he, Chan Wang, and an extremely outstanding clan uncle had been bestowed with 3 medallions. The age gap between the 3 of them just so happened to span 100 years. Every single medallion was extremely valuable. How could they lose it? Upon hearing Chun Fan's words, those from the Ouyang aristocrat clan transmitted their voices to Ouyang Quangsheng. "The Chun clan obviously doesn't wish to completely fall out with us. Today we are in a disadvantageous position. Let's endure it for now and wait for the experts from our clan to arrive before we make further plans." Not only that, since the other party dared to say that he would appear during the ranking battle, he would definitely be prepared. The Chun clan had already offended the Mystic Moon sect. If they could avoid it, they didn't want to start an all-out war with the Ouyang aristocrat clan. Even if the sacred royal medallion appeared, they didn't intend to exterminate the Ouyang aristocrat clan. Ouyang Quangsheng stared at Bai Qing as he clenched his fists tightly. "If we continue fighting today, it would be akin to throwing an egg against a rock. Even if we die, we won't be able to live in peace." Not only that, since Chun Fan promised not to touch Bai Qing, he wouldn't dare to go against the sacred royal medallion. "Bai Qing, don't be rash for now. The experts from the Mystic Moon sect are already on their way. Endure it for a few more days. You still have to avenge your master." Ouyang Quangsheng transmitted his voiceover. Bai Qing's heart trembled, but her eyes were as cold as ice. If she died, who would avenge her master? Retracting her aura, Bai Qing stared at the faces of the experts from the Chan clan and 9 mystical palace, as though she wanted to engrave their faces in her heart. "Count yourself lucky," Xiao Han coldly stated as he glanced at Bai Qing. The matter here was settled because of the 2 pages of the scroll, after which the crowd departed. Bai Qing followed the experts from the Chan clan, while the people in Ginkgo were silently speculating who it was that killed Chan Wang and seized the sacred royal medallion. Would he really hand over the medallion for Bai Qing? If that was the case, what relationship did this person have with Bai Qing? Nobody could guess. Very swiftly, experts from the Mystic Moon sect arrived from the Spirit Continent, experts from the Ouyang aristocrat clan arrived from the Azure Continent, and experts from the Jiang clan arrived from the Wind Continent. Just as the Heavenly Fate Rankings was about to be announced, many transcendent powers gathered in Ginkgo. This year's Heavenly Fate Rankings was even more shocking compared to the one 3 years ago. There was a possibility that an all-out war between the transcendent powers would erupt. However, the reason why the previous Heavenly Fate Rankings were so memorable was because of the demon-level geniuses that appeared, as well as the young man named Qin Wentian. In that case, who would be the one to instigate this year's Heavenly Fate Rankings? The gazes of the people of Grand Xia were all focused on Ginkgo. However, nobody knew that before the Heavenly Fate Rankings arrived, the experts of the Celestial Lake Palace in the Demon Mountain City had already departed in batches, stealthily making their way to the faraway Qing continent. Fairy Qingmei was there to personally oversee the departure. Not only that, in the endless forest and mountain range outside the Demon Mountain City, there was a large-scale movement of demonic beasts. The demonic beasts were all migrating towards the same direction, and all of them were extremely powerful. A storm was brewing in Jinzhou City. Who would pay attention to the movements in the Demon Mountain City, a city of demonic beasts in the wilderness? No one would know what this movement symbolized to the Grand Xia. This would be the beginning of a change in the history of Grand Xia, but who would know the truth? The Nine Mystical Palace was one of the transcendent powers in the Qing continent. Although the Nine Mystical Palace wasn't that eye-catching when compared to the 36 transcendent powers of Granxia, when placed in the context of the Qing continent, the Nine Mystical Palace wasn't that much weaker compared to the other transcendent powers. Not only that, if one were to head towards the south of Granxia, there were many small countries that were governed by the Nine Mystical Palace. However, in recent years, the Nine Mystical Palace wasn't too happy because the conflict between them and the Green Cloud Pavilion had escalated. As for the other two transcendent powers in Ginkgo, the Misty Peak and the Setting Sun Mountain, they naturally wouldn't help either side. They couldn't wait for the Nine Mystical Palace and the Green Cloud Pavilion to engage in a war, so that they could reap the benefits of the fishermen. Maybe only 2 out of the 4 transcendent powers would remain. Luckily, in the faraway Ginkgo, there was a piece of news that made everyone happy. Those from the Nine Mystical Palace who were heading to Ginkgo had a good relationship with the Great Solar Chan clan. The Great Solar Chan clan also had the intention of forming an alliance with them. As long as the Great Solar Chan clan helped them to attack the Qing continent, in addition to the strength of the Nine Mystical Palace, how could the Green Cloud Pavilion stand a chance against them? Thinking of this, the Nine Mystical Palace was extremely excited. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.